Chapter 1506. Yi Chunfeng merged with the sword wings and flew rapidly in the dark space. Gradually, the sky darkened. Yi Chunfeng's body flashed and hid on top of an ancient tree, waiting for the sky to turn dark. Late at night, the stars dotted the sky. Chilling roars of beasts could be heard in the silent sky beyond heaven. A large number of high-level demonic beasts roamed the wilderness. Although the demonic beasts in the sky beyond heaven were high-level, they were different from the demonic beasts in the outside world. They had low intelligence and only knew how to kill. However, Yi Chunfeng had no intention of subduing these demonic beasts. With a thought, he summoned the 3 sacred beasts and ordered them to kill these demonic beasts and devour their beast cores to increase their strength. While the 3 sacred beasts were killing the demonic beasts, Yi Chunfeng controlled the God-Eater brain to deduce the changes in the stars in the sky. As expected, after destroying the magnetic field ancient tree and destroying the foundation of the magnetic field in the periphery of the sky beyond heaven has weakened significantly. After another round of deduction, the God-Eater brain could clearly deduce the changes in the stars. This made Yi Chunfeng secretly happy. Through the deduction, he searched for the location of the next magnetic field ancient tree. Soon, dawn arrived. After a night of killing and devouring a large number of beast cores, the 3 sacred beasts returned covered in blood. Chaos Divine Beasts, how long more do you need to evolve into high-grade sacred beasts? Looking at the 3 sacred beasts covered in blood, Yi Chunfeng asked. Boss, this place is great. If we continue to kill and devour, I estimate that we can evolve in 3 days. The Chaos Divine Beast opened its mouth and said excitedly. Alright, then we will stay for a few more days. The 3 sacred beasts were of great help to Yi Chunfeng. If they could evolve further, it would greatly increase the power that Yi Chunfeng could control. Let's go to the next place. While the 3 sacred beasts were killing the demonic beasts, the God-Eater brain deduced the location of the next magnetic field ancient tree. Yi Chunfeng rode on the Chaos Divine Beast and leaped through the constantly changing space. They arrived at the foot of the second magnetic field ancient tree. Well, what's that? Yi Chunfeng's pupils shrank. He saw a black pool under the magnetic field ancient tree. In the center of the pool, there was a half-meter-tall plant with 3 white fruit. White Jade Immortal Fruit. That's the White Jade Immortal Fruit. When Yi Chunfeng controlled the God-Eater brain to deduce the 3 white fruits in the center of the pool, the God-Eater brain immediately showed the truth of the 3 white fruit. The White Jade Immortal Fruit was an extremely valuable immortal item in the Heaven Realm, and the White Jade Immortal Fruit only had one effect, and that was to increase one's strength. With Yi Chunfeng's boundless power, if he could obtain these 3 White Jade Immortal Fruits, he would definitely be able to break through the 5th grade Dao Saint realm and reach the 6th grade Dao Saint realm. Once he became a 6-star Dao Saint, even if he did not use his life spirit technique, he would be able to defeat an ordinary supremacy with his strength and foundation. What could be at the bottom of this pool? For an immortal item like the White Jade Immortal Fruit, there would definitely be a terrifying existence guarding it. Yi Chunfeng closed his eyes and controlled the God-Eater brain to deduce. He released a powerful soul force and permeated it into the pool, discovering an extremely terrifying aura. This aura belongs to a high-class sacred beast. The guardian of this White Jade Immortal Fruit is actually an ancient sacred beast. In the Central World, sacred beasts were extremely rare, let alone high-class sacred beasts. Yi Chunfeng guessed that the reason why the demonic beast could become a high-class sacred beast was most likely related to the White Jade Immortal Fruit. Sword wings increase. Although a high-class sacred beast was terrifying, Yi Chunfeng had the power to kill it. He summoned the sword wings and merged with them. With a speed several times faster than light, he flew towards the White Jade Immortal Fruit. He wanted to obtain them first so that he would not be affected during the intense battle. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Ferocious hisses sounded from the pool. 6 millstone-sized snake heads broke out of the pool and spewed out stinking poisonous fog. They sealed the space and attacked Yi Chunfeng. However, Yi Chunfeng was too fast. Before the 6 ferocious snake heads could attack, the sword wings sliced through the half-meter-tall tree and directly plucked the 3 ripe white jade immortal fruit. Roar! Despicable human, I will kill you! The fact that the white jade immortal fruit that it had guarded for countless years was snatched away by Yi Chunfeng completely enraged the high-grade holy beast in the pool. A 6-headed snake that was over 200 feet long and had 6 ferocious tongues broke out of the pool and roared loudly at Yi Chunfeng, who was standing in the air. Demon Ba, come out! Yi Chunfeng did not want to waste too much time. He quickly summoned out Demon Ba and attacked the 6-headed snake with the fiendish chi. Although the 6-headed snake was an ancient mutated species and was much stronger than ordinary high-class sacred beasts, it was only equivalent to a peak-level 6-star sacred beast. It was no threat to Yi Chunfeng. In addition to the terrifying physical body of Demon Ba, the furious 6-headed snake's attack was instantly suppressed. The scales that covered its body were shattered by Demon Ba, and it was dripping with blood. Cosmos Sword Array, Cosmos Strike. As the 6-headed snake was being defeated by Demon Ba, Yi Chunfeng summoned the Cosmos Sword Array and controlled the sword array to fuse together. It turned into a huge sword that was dozens of feet long and flowed with innate Tao patterns. He slashed at one of the 6-headed snake's bloody head. Roar! A painful hissing sound was heard. Under the attack of the Cosmos Sword Array, one of the 6-headed snake's heads was chopped off. Large amounts of blood spurted out like a fountain. Innate fusion / In the next moment, the silver sword soul fused with the innate fusion and escaped into the spatial trajectory. Before the 6-headed snake could react, another sword / cut off its second head. With 2 heads chopped off by Yi Chunfeng, the 6-headed snake that was riddled with wounds was terrified. It did not dare to continue attacking and turned its huge body to escape. 9 Heaven's Imperial Jade Seal, Mount Blood Demon, suppress. Yi Chunfeng needed the 6-headed snake's demonic core and blood essence. How could he give it a chance to escape? Under the control of his mind, the 2 supreme sacred treasures broke out of his body and released a terrifying suppressive force. They ruthlessly suppressed the 6-headed snake's huge body, forcefully suppressing it and preventing it from escaping. At this moment, Demon Ba with monstrous demonic aura approached the 6-headed snake. His hands that were filled with hundreds of millions of pounds of strength grabbed onto one of the snake's head. With a forceful pull, 3 of the snake's heads were ripped off. The 6-headed snake was in so much pain that it almost fainted. Human, even if I die, I will drag you to hell with me. After losing 3 heads, the 6-headed snake was completely enraged. It let out a ferocious roar and was about to detonate the 6 demonic cores in its body to deal a fatal blow to Yi Chunfeng and Demon Ba. Do you think I will give you this chance? Yi Chunfeng sneered. The soul power in his mind exploded, turning into a terrifying dizziness that blasted into the 6-headed snake's 3 heads, causing a strong sense of dizziness. Then, Yi Chunfeng deduced the 3 spirit-level Tao diagrams to the extreme and activated the strongest power of the Silver Sword Soul. He fused it into the innate fusion and dealt a fatal blow to the 6-headed snake. With a slash of the sword, a spatial crack that kept extending appeared in the chaotic void. The terrifying sword might directly pierced through the 6-headed snake's body, cutting off its 4th and 5th head. When the 6-headed snake's remaining heads forcibly exploded, Demon Ba slashed over with the dragon-patterned saber in his hand, cutting off its last head and killing this high-level sacred beast 6-headed snake. Remember the website. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 1507. 6 Demonic Cores. Not bad. Yi Chunfeng controlled the Xiantian sword with his will and cut open the 6-headed serpent's huge body, obtaining 6 extremely precious monster cores. He then spat out the sky-incinerating sacred flame and melted its heart, refining it into pure Saint Beast blood essence. Net Hundun, Dragon Blood Lion, Fire Qilin, these 6 upper sacred beast demonic cores are for you. Space Swallowing Bug, this sacred beast blood essence is for you. Yi Qinfeng returned to the Qiankuan realm and gave the demonic cores to the divine beast of chaos and the other 3 sacred beasts. Roar. High-grade holy beasts demonic core. With these 2 demonic cores, I will be able to break through to become a high-grade holy beast. The Chaos Divine Beast exclaimed excitedly as he looked at the demonic cores that Yi Qinfeng handed over. Alright, you guys can cultivate now. With that, Yi Qinfeng left the Qiankuan realm and came to the outside world. He summoned the divine wood of chaos and attacked the magnetic field ancient tree. After devouring a magnetic field ancient tree, the chaotic divine wood's chaotic forest grew stronger. Soon, it was able to suppress the magnetic field ancient tree. It extended a large number of 5-colored roots and plunged into the magnetic field ancient tree to devour the magnetic force. While the divine wood of chaos was devouring the magnetic field ancient tree, Yi Qinfeng took out a white jade fairy fruit that he had just plucked and swallowed it. He wanted to use the immortal energy in the white jade fairy fruit to break through to the 6-star Tao Saint realm. What pure energy! When the white jade fairy fruit entered Yi Qinfeng's body, it immediately turned into pure energy and merged into his body and cells. The purity of the energy in the white jade fairy fruit was far beyond that of ordinary sacred pills. It made Gu Tiange feel like he was floating in the air, and he enjoyed it very much. His strength was also increasing at an extremely fast speed. The bottleneck is loosening. When Yi Qinfeng used the soul-devouring tactic and refined the white jade fairy fruit at an extremely fast speed and merged it into his body, he was surprised to find that the unbreakable bottleneck was actually loosening. This white jade immortal fruit is too miraculous. I actually didn't need to consume the heavenly sacred breaking pellet to loosen the bottleneck. After grasping the opportunity to break through, Yi Qinfeng did not hesitate. He consumed the second white jade immortal fruit and tried his best to break through to the 6-star Tao Saint realm. At this time, the Chaos Divine Wood had already sucked the magnetic field ancient wood dry. It broke the second formation base of the magnetic field outside the heavens beyond and weakened the power of the magnetic banknote. Time flew by as the stars moved. Very quickly, 3 days passed. 6-star Tao Saint breakthrough. After refining the second white jade immortal fruit, Yi Qinfeng's Tao power had reached a bottleneck. With a spurt of energy, he borrowed the pure energy contained within the white jade immortal fruit and broke through to the 6-star Tao Saint realm. His physical strength also increased by 25 million kilograms. Phew, I broke through, I finally broke through. The moment he broke through, Yi Qinfeng opened his eyes. His deep eyes were burning with a strong desire to fight. With my current strength and foundation, even if I don't use the life spirit technique, I should be able to defeat an ordinary supremacy. Spiritual fish, this white jade immortal fruit is for you. After breaking through to the 6-star Tao Saint realm, Yi Qinfeng did not leave immediately. He summoned the spiritual fish and gave her the last white jade immortal fruit. After knowing how powerful the white jade immortal fruit was, the spiritual fish's eyes immediately curved into cute crescents. She swallowed the white jade immortal fruit and quickly refined it to break through to the 3-star Tao Saint realm. Oh, they've caught up? While Yi Qinfeng was consolidating his 6-star Tao Saint realm and protecting the spiritual fish, the God-Eater brain detected the auras of the Demon Sovereign and Brew. Just as Yi Qinfeng was about to use the 2 of them to test his strength after breaking through, he unexpectedly found that the Demon Sovereign and Brew did not approach him. Instead, they retracted their auras and hid. Interesting. Sensing the intentions of the Demon Sovereign and Brew, Yi Qinfeng revealed a cold smile. He pretended not to notice them and continued consolidating his cultivation. After around 5 days, a powerful aura spread out from the spiritual fish's body. After refining the white jade immortal fruit, the spiritual fish naturally broke through to the 3-star Tao Saint realm. Let's go. Let's leave this place and continue forward. After the spiritual fish stabilized her cultivation, Yi Chenfeng brought her along and flew towards the entrance of heavens beyond according to the directions given by the God-Eater brain. The two of you really followed me. During the flight, the God-Eater brain deduced that the demon sovereign and Brew were following him. However, he was not in a hurry to make a move on them. He wanted to find a suitable place to kill them so that they could not escape. At the same time, Heavenly Lord Di Xian, who was severely injured by Yi Chenfeng, did not enter heavens beyond. Instead, he flew to the 9 heavens and arrived at the Heaven Region Gate in the scarlet flame sky. Through the seal of the Heaven Race, he spread the news of what happened in the 9 heavens God Nation and heavens beyond to the Heaven Race. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Heavenly Lord Di Xian waited patiently outside the Heaven Region Gate for several days. Suddenly, the Heaven Region Gate, which was heavily sealed with restrictions, started to fluctuate. A crack that grew bigger and bigger appeared in the Heaven Region Gate. As the crack grew bigger and bigger, a blurry figure appeared. Di Xian, I have forgotten how many years it has been. We meet again. The blurry figure became clearer and clearer, revealing an old face as he spoke with a deep voice. Heavenly Lord Mou. Heavenly Lord Di Xian was overjoyed when he saw the old man walking out of the Heaven Region Gate. He immediately stepped forward and bowed respectfully. Heavenly Lord Mou and Heavenly Lord Di Xian both came from the Green Sky race and were old acquaintances. However, Heavenly Lord Mou was much stronger than Heavenly Lord Di Xian in terms of talent and potential. Thus, he was heavily nurtured by the Green Sky race. However, Heavenly Lord Di Xian was unfortunately sent to the lower realm to guard the 9 heavens God Nation. Now that they met again, Heavenly Lord Di Xian was still stuck at the peak of the 1-star Heavenly Lord realm, while Heavenly Lord Mou was already a peak 6-star Heavenly Lord realm Heavenly Lord. He was only 1 step away from breaking through to the Heavenly Emperor realm. Di Xian, you sent a message to the elders, saying that there is a big change in the 9 heavens God Nation in the heaven beyond heaven. What is going on? Heavenly Lord Mou asked. Heavenly Lord Mou, Heavenly Lord Demia is suspected to be controlled by a human expert. Now, the Central World is in a 3-nation war. The person behind the scenes appeared in the heaven beyond heaven a few days ago and defeated me. Now, he has broken into the heaven beyond heaven. Heavenly Lord Di Xian said in detail. Who is that person? Heavenly Lord Mou frowned slightly and asked in a low voice. That person is very mysterious. He seems to be only a 5-star Tao Saint, but he has many incredible trump cards. He can raise his realm to the Tao Master realm in a short time. Moreover, he can continuously control 6 supreme-grade holy treasures to attack, Heavenly Lord Di Xian said. There is such a human expert hidden in this low-level world. Heavenly Lord Mou's eyes lit up. Let's go. I will accompany you to the heaven beyond heaven to take a look and see who that human is. After saying that, Celestial Venerable Di Xian led Celestial Venerable Mou, who came from the Heaven Region's Azure Sky Clan and had reached the peak of the 6-star Celestial Venerable Realm, to outer sky. However, Yi Chenfeng did not know. Remember the website. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 1508. Finally, correct the position on the map. After many deductions by the God-eating brain, Yi Chenfeng corrected the position and flew toward the entrance of the inner space of sky beyond according to the map. About 3 days later, Yi Chenfeng flew to a gourd-shaped mountain with great space pressure. According to the map, the entrance of the inner space was hidden in the gourd-shaped mountain. Let's get rid of Demon Venerable and Brew first before entering the inner space of sky beyond. The God-Eater brain, which was rapidly deducing, had long sensed that the Demon Venerable and Brew were tailing them. When they found the entrance to the inner space, Yi Chenfeng decided to deal with them first. Ancient Sky Shrouding Diagram, Seal. With a thought, Yi Chunfeng summoned the Ancient Sky Shrouding Diagram and restricted the entire space. Then, two heaven slashes that looked like both swords and sabers appeared in his hands. He attacked a strange craggy rock with all his might. When the rock was broken, the entire space was distorted. Endless strange power came out of the distorted space. Vaguely, in the distorted space, there was a space passage leading to an unknown place. That human junior came prepared and found the entrance of the inner space. The monster Venerable and Greasy, who were hiding in the dark, were overjoyed when they saw the space passage in the twisted space. After a short discussion, they turned into two shadows and flew over at a very fast speed. "You're finally willing to come out." Looking at Demon Venerable and Brew, Yi Chunfeng didn't show any panic. Instead, he showed a strong killing intent. "What? You found us long ago?" Demon Venerable frowned and said with surprise. With his and Brew's strength, it was difficult for ordinary Venerable Realm experts to find them. However, they couldn't hide from Yi Chunfeng. "You want to deceive me with your little tricks? You're too naive." Yi Chunfeng shook his head and said coldly, "The entrance of the inner space is here. You can go in if you defeat me." As he spoke, Yi Chunfeng controlled the ancient sky-shrouding diagram to seal the entire space, sealing the escape route of Demon Venerable and Brew. "Junior, it seems that you are very confident in your own strength." Sensing that the space had been restricted, the Demon Venerable's faces darkened. Two dense killing lights shot out from their eyes, locking onto Yi Chunfeng. "It's enough to destroy you all." Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and merged with the sacred blood bead and the heaven-suppressing orb. He burned the primordial blood and instantly raised his strength to the peak of one-star Dao Master Realm. Yes. Sensing Yi Chunfeng's sudden increase in strength, the Demon Venerable was stunned. He could smell a dangerous aura from Yi Chunfeng. "Today, I'll use you guys to test my strength after my breakthrough." As he spoke, Yi Chunfeng summoned his sword wings. They turned into a dazzling sword shadow in the air and attacked Beast Sovereign and Brew. "You are courting death." Yi Chunfeng's sword aura filled the sky as he attacked. Beast Sovereign and Brew immediately rushed forward to meet him. They wanted to force Yi Chunfeng to reveal all of his secrets so that they could enter the inner space of the heavens beyond. Wrath of Divine Punishment. Yi Chunfeng infused the three holy spirits into his right fist, bursting out more than 1 billion kilograms of strength. He punched at the Demon Venerable, who was surrounded by demon aura and bulging muscles. Boom! As the two fists collided, the wrath of divine punishment exploded. The terrible power of divine punishment, like an erupting volcano, fiercely bombarded the Demon Venerable, who turned pale with fright and sent him flying. The next moment, the innate sword embryo and the silver sword soul merged into a peerless sword radiance. It slashed at Brew and blocked his killing move. "Is this all you've got?" Fighting 1 against 2, Yi Chunfeng's heart calmed down. With a roar, he summoned the Qiankuan sword formation. He controlled the Qiankuan sword formation to turn it into a dense rain of swords, attacking Brew, who was holding the dual demon blades. Cosmos sword formation, ever-changing. Under the control of Yi Chunfeng's mind, the Cosmos sword formation kept changing its attacking forms and attacking Brew ferociously. Yi Chunfeng's strength had reached the limit of 1-star Dao Master. The power of the Cosmos sword formation was even more terrifying. It kept tearing apart Brew's attacks and suppressing Brew's battle form. Seeing Brew retreating, the Demon Venerable roared and transformed into his strongest battle form. He held a white bone staff that weighed millions of kilograms and smashed it at Yi Chunfeng like a mountain. 3 heads and 6 arms. The Demon Venerable smashed down with a shocking momentum. Yi Chunfeng decisively transformed into his ultimate form of 3 heads and 6 arms. He held 3 supreme sacred weapons and 3 supreme sacred treasures as he faced the Demon Venerable's white bone staff head-on. Boom! Several great holy weapons collided with each other like meteorites, bursting out a destructive power. It directly tore the tough space in the human realm upon heavens, and the cracks kept spreading in the space. 3 heads and 6 arms? How do you know the inherited divine sense of the Kirin kingdom? The demon venerable widened his eyes, and looked at Yi Chunfeng in the form of 3 heads and 6 arms. Do you want to know? Go to hell and ask the people of the Kirin kingdom. Yi Chunfeng moved his 6 arms and launched a tide-like attack on the demon venerable and Brew. He wanted to seriously injure and kill them in one go. Golden Lion Roar. Yi Chunfeng's combat power was beyond their imagination. Even with the 2 of them joining forces, they still couldn't block Yi Chunfeng's ferocious attacks. When the 2 of them were being suppressed, the demon venerable's strong body suddenly expanded. A ferocious lion head stealed out of his body. It rushed towards Yi Chunfeng with a roar that sounded like a landslide and a tsunami, bombarding his body. Divine sense of tyrannical kick. A terrifying lion's roar rang out. Yi Chunfeng quickly took a step forward. The terrifying foot seemed to be able to trample through the underworld. With the force of 100 million kilograms, it shattered the golden lion's roar that the demon venerable had executed. Then, the sword wings flapped violently, rolling up thousands of sword rays and attacking the demon venerable who couldn't dodge in time. The sharp sword feathers constantly pierced through his defenses and cut into his body, leaving many sharp sword wounds on his strong body, causing a large amount of blood to spurt out. Sword cut of the cosmos. When the injured demon venerable was retreating, the sword formation of the cosmos was combined under the control of Yi Chunfeng's mind. It turned into a giant sword that looked down on everything. It was intertwined with patterns of the great Tao. It slashed at the demon venerable's bone staff that was desperately defending. A force of more than 1 billion kilograms exploded in the sword of the cosmos. It poured into the demon venerable's arms through the bone staff. It shook his arms until his skin and flesh were torn open. His legs were even smashed into the ground. The demon venerable was severely injured by Yi Chunfeng. Brew immediately wanted to help. At this time, the 5 supreme holy treasures under the control of Yi Chunfeng exploded with shocking power. They bombarded Brew one after another. The terrifying power shattered Brew's attack and forced him to retreat. It's over. Go to hell. Yi Chunfeng's mind moved. The innate sword embryo and the silver sword soul merged together. It turned into a cold star in the chaotic void. It stabbed at the demon venerable's head. Bang! The seriously injured demon venerable's defense was broken. He only saw a flash of light in front of his eyes. The innate sword embryo pierced through his head and crushed his soul. He died on the spot. Remember the website. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 1509. Now, it's your turn. After killing the demon venerable, Yi Chunfeng cast his gaze towards Brew, who had a serious expression and was thinking of retreating. He used his sword steps and flew over. True demon sky shadow. Yi Chunfeng's combat strength was far beyond Brew's imagination. In order to kill him, Brew had to use his strongest trump card. A terrifying true demon sky shadow emerged from his body and roared towards the sky as he threw out a shocking punch. Wrath of God's punishment. Facing the attack of the true demon sky shadow, Yi Chunfeng didn't retreat. He used the same move and gathered the wrath of God's punishment in his right fist as he threw out a punch. Boom! When Yi Chunfeng took the true demon sky shadow's punch, the wrath of God's punishment and over 1 billion pounds of strength erupted at the same time. The terrifying strength shattered the true demon sky shadow's attack and shattered his entire arm. Die! Using the opportunity when Yi Chunfeng was facing the true demon sky shadow, Brew launched a fatal attack towards Yi Chunfeng, wanting to use this opportunity to severely injure him. Want to kill me? Try again in your next life. With the God-Eater Brain's deduction, Yi Chunfeng captured the trajectory of Brew's attack in advance. The The time around him suddenly accelerated as he turned into an afterimage and dodged Bru's fatal attack as he appeared in the void. 9 Heavens Imperial Jade Seal, explode for me. Following that, Yi Chunfeng controlled the 9 Heavens Imperial Jade Seal to grow bigger as it imprinted a terrifying Heaven Ancient Rune on the true demon Sky Shadow. The terrifying Heaven Ancient Rune directly shattered the true demon Sky Shadow. Time Law, you actually grasped the Time Law. The moment he made his move, he could clearly feel that the flow of time around Yi Chunfeng's body had sped up. A huge wave of emotions surged in his heart. The Time Law and Space Law were the 2 most mysterious laws in the universe. The Time Law was even more profound. Even in the Heaven domain, there were only a few people who grasped the Time Law. Why are you surprised? More surprises are yet to come. Yi Chunfeng smiled as he flew towards Bru with his sword steps. He flapped his sword wings rapidly and attacked Bru's body. Undead puppet. In the face of Yi Chunfeng's increasingly ferocious attacks, Bru didn't dare to hold back any longer. He used his final trump card, summoning a puppet dressed in black scaled armor and holding a spear. Its body was filled with a thick aura of death. Boom! Yi Chunfeng swung his 3 supreme quality saint weapons and smashed them against the death demon puppet, creating a deafening explosion. Even a high-quality saint artifact would have been able to break the attacks of 3 supreme quality saint artifacts at the same time. However, when they struck the death puppet, they only shook its body and failed to injure it. Yes, a supreme-grade holy treasure puppet. Yi Chunfeng revealed a hint of surprise when he sensed the undead puppet's defense. Human Xing, you've forced me to use my trump card. Even if you die, you should be proud of yourself. Saying this, Bru gave the death demon puppet a sure kill order, ordering it to kill Yi Chunfeng with all its might. Humph, a mere puppet gives you so much confidence? Yi Chunfeng coldly snorted and suddenly withdrew his 3 great saint weapons. The 3 great saint weapons faced the death demon puppet barehanded. Pearls of death, pearls of life, destroy. Yi Chunfeng gathered the power of the 2 great innate spirit pearls in his left and right hands, continuously shaking the death demon puppet. Although the death demon puppet relied on its powerful defense to completely block Yi Chunfeng's fists, which contained the power of the pearls of death and life, the death demon puppet's fists constantly weakened the aura of death in its body and destroyed the seals of death on its body. What's wrong with the death demon puppet? Bru, who was making use of the time to heal himself, was surprised to find that the death demon puppet's attacks were becoming slower and slower. It was completely suppressed by Yi Chunfeng's bare hands. His expression changed drastically, not daring to believe that Yi Chunfeng had a way to restrain the death demon puppet. Helpless, he could only give up on healing himself and slash at Yi Chunfeng with his dual demonic blades. Demonic Ba, come out! With a thought, Yi Chunfeng summoned the ferocious demonic Ba and ordered it to defend against Bru's attacks with all its might. Meanwhile, he continued to unleash a torrent of attacks on the death demon puppet, wanting to shatter the seals of death in its body in one go. Under the constant corrosive attacks of the pearls of life and death, the death demon puppet's offensive power became weaker and weaker, and cracks appeared on the seals of death within its body. Break for me! Yi Chunfeng activated the strongest power of the pearls of life and death and blasted it into the death demon puppet's body. The terrifying curtain of life and death destroyed the seals of death within its body and sent it flying several thousand meters away. It crashed into a huge craggy rock and lost its ability to move. The seals of death within the death demon puppet's body have been broken. How did he do it? At this moment, Bru's heart was filled with a strong sense of unease. His greatest reliance had been easily broken by Yi Chunfeng, causing his situation to become extremely dangerous. Whoosh! His body moved and he decisively gave up on the death demon puppet. He rapidly flew into the air, wanting to pierce through the ancient heaven-shrouding diagram and escape. You want to run now? It's too late. The ancient heaven shrouding diagram had been modified by Yi Chunfeng and fused with 10,000 top-grade array foundation stones. Even a 2-star Empyrean like Empyrean Emperor Destroyer wouldn't be able to break through it in a short period of time, let alone him. The sword wings fiercely flashed and a massive amount of sword shadows swept towards Bru, preventing him from attacking the ancient heaven-shrouding diagram with all his strength. Empyrean is a bit lonely on the road to the Yellow Springs. You should go down and accompany him. Yi Chunfeng pushed the laws of time to the limit, creating a dazzling array of sword shadows that attacked Bru and worsened his injuries. As Yi Chunfeng's attacks became increasingly fierce and Bru's injuries became increasingly severe, his heart began to tremble. However, Bru was extremely arrogant. He didn't beg for mercy. Instead, he clenched his teeth and bitterly endured, wanting to find a way out of this hopeless situation. "All right, I'll let you see my last resort." After using the demon Venerable and Bru to test his battle prowess, Yi Chunfeng also lost his patience. With a thought, he summoned 5 top-grade holy treasures and controlled them to launch a fierce attack on Bru. At this moment, Bru was seriously injured. It was quite difficult for him to resist 1 top-grade holy treasure, let alone 5 top-grade holy treasures. Under the bombardment of the 5 top-grade holy treasures, Bru's arms were forcibly shattered. His entire body was smashed into pieces by the 9th Heaven Imperial Seal and the True Demon's Hand. "Junior, go to hell with me!" With his arms shattered and his body seriously injured, Bru roared and rushed towards Yi Chunfeng crazily. He launched a self-explosion attack, wanting to die together with him. "You're too naive." At the moment of Bru's self-explosion, Yi Chunfeng showed a hint of sarcasm. With a thought, he hid in the universe mirror. "No!" Seeing Yi Chunfeng disappear, Bru let out an unwilling roar. His entire body erupted with a terrifying energy, blasting a big hole in the space, and he exploded and died. Remember the URL. Sanwa Chinese Network. Chapter 1510. Collect. After the energy from the explosion dissipated, Yi Chunfeng left the universe realm and put away the items they left behind in it. After killing Bru and Monster Sovereign, Yi Chunfeng obtained 2 top-grade saint artifacts and a powerful dead demon puppet. Although the dead demon puppet's death seal had been shattered, Yi Chunfeng had a connate saint artifact like the dead spirit bead. He could reform the seals and control the dead demon puppet. Huff, it's time to enter heavens beyond. Yi Chunfeng adjusted his breathing for a while and used the spiritual bead of life to recover his injuries. He put away the ancient heaven-shrouding painting and prepared to enter the inner space of sky beyond with the ancient plate that Ming Shifang gave to the spirit fish. "Who is it?" The moment Yi Chunfeng put away the ancient heaven-shrouding painting, his keen perception suddenly sensed danger. His pupils shrank as he looked into the distance. He saw a purple-robed Empyrean Di Xian walking through the void towards him. And beside Empyrean Di Xian was a gray-robed old man. It was this old man who gave Yi Chunfeng a strong sense of danger. What boundary is this person at? As Yi Chunfeng stared at Empyrean Mou, he discovered that he couldn't see through him at all. Even the rapidly deducing God-Eater brain couldn't grasp his true boundary. This caused Yi Chunfeng to instinctively be on guard. "Human Junior, I've really offended you. I didn't think you had the ability to kill Monster Sovereign and Bru." Empyrean Di Xian coldly looked at Yi Chunfeng. Although he was surprised by Yi Chunfeng's terrifying combat strength, with Empyrean Mou backing him, it was useless even if Yi Chunfeng had the ability to pierce through the heavens. "I was wondering why you didn't chase after me. So you went to call for reinforcements?" Yi Chunfeng forced himself to calm down. He looked at the arrogant Empyrean Mou and said, "If I'm not wrong, you must be a supreme being from the lower realms of the heaven domain. You are very smart. This lord comes from the Blue Sky clan." Empyrean Mou said in a deep voice. Every word he spat out was like a thunderclap, causing Yi Chunfeng's eardrums to hurt. "Deity." Hearing Empyrean Mou's words, Yi Chunfeng breathed a sigh of relief. Although Empyrean Mou's strength was far beyond his imagination, he had the Heavenly Emperor's projection, a great killing weapon. He completely had the chance to kill Empyrean Mou and Empyrean Deity. However, he didn't want to use the Celestial Emperor projection too soon. Instead, he was thinking of other ways to escape. Junior, who exactly are you? Why did you attack my Tian clan? Heavenly Sovereign Mou's turbid eyes emitted a thick cold intent as he locked onto Yi Chunfeng and asked in a low voice. The fighting spirit continent belongs to the human race. Is it wrong for me to drive you away? Yi Chunfeng asked fearlessly. Xing, your guts are truly not small. You actually dare to use such a tone to speak to this sovereign. Empyrean Inkfeather said with a grim expression, In a while, when I capture you, this Empyrean wants to see if you're still stubborn. As he spoke, Empyrean Inkfeather stretched out his right hand, which condensed into a terrifying giant hand that covered the sky. It evolved into a profound Tao intent and grabbed at Yi Chunfeng. Feeling that space was collapsing under the attack of Empyrean Inkfeather's giant hand, Yi Chunfeng didn't hesitate to fuse with the sword wings and forcibly fly toward the entrance of the inner space. However, Empyrean Inkfeather's giant hand was too terrifying. Space was compressed, which greatly affected Yi Chunfeng's speed. He had no choice but to hide in the universe realm. Boom! The giant hand that covered the sky landed on the universe realm. The terrifying power shook the universe realm violently. However, after opening the second-level space of the universe realm, the defense of the universe realm increased by several levels. Even with Empyrean Inkfeather's peak 6-star Empyrean strength, he couldn't break it in a short time. While Empyrean Inkfeather was in shock, Yi Chunfeng rapidly left the universe realm. He flapped his sword wings rapidly, tearing apart the fragmented space, and rushed into the inner space passageway at an extremely fast speed. Where do you think you're going? Empyrean Inkfeather took a step out and instantly crossed several thousand meters, following closely behind Yi Chunfeng into the inner space passageway. At this time, Yi Chunfeng took out the ancient disc and continuously poured Tao force into the ancient disc, activating the power of the ancient disc and forcibly opening the entrance of the inner space, entering the inner space ahead of Empyrean Inkfeather. Close. Rushing into Sky Beyond's inner space, Yi Chunfeng controlled the ancient disc to close the entrance. At this time, a miniature hill appeared at the rapidly healing entrance of the inner space, wanting to forcibly open the entrance of the inner space and not let it close. However, the power of the restriction of the inner space entrance was too great. The supreme-grade Holy Treasure level miniature hill couldn't support the constantly healing entrance at all and was crushed bit by the terrifying distorting power. What is the origin of this apricot? How can he open the entrance of Sky Beyond's inner space? Seeing Yi Chunfeng disappear, Empyrean Deity revealed an expression as if he had seen a ghost. Even Empyrean Inkfeather's face turned gloomy. Break! Empyrean Inkfeather ignored the constant spatial pressure and pointed out a finger. The terrifying finger light crushed the space and pointed at the entrance of the inner space that had completely healed. Empyrean Inkfeather's finger was extremely powerful, enough to kill a 5-star Empyrean instantly. However, it didn't shake the entrance of the inner space at all. Star Sword. Empyrean Inkfeather frowned slightly and took out a supreme-grade holy artifact level-long sword inlaid with 10 star-like crystals. He stabbed the sword at the entrance of the inner space. Empyrean Inkfeather almost exerted the attack power of this sword to the extreme. The power of this sword could kill a 6-star Empyrean, but when it stabbed the entrance of the inner space, it still couldn't forcibly open the inner space. Di Xian, attack with me. Thinking that Sky Beyond was left behind by the Lord of the Dark North, if he could obtain the inheritance inside, not only would he be praised by the Azure Sky Clan, but he would also have a chance to use the inheritance inside to take this difficult step and break through to the Heavenly Emperor realm. Yes. Emperor Di Xian nodded and summoned the supreme-grade holy artifact knife disc. He fiercely attacked the entrance of the inner space with Empyrean ink feather. The two's attacks could be said to be extremely terrifying, but the restriction at the entrance of the inner space was left behind by the Lord of the Dark North. It wasn't something the two of them could shake at all. The two used all their skills and attacked fiercely for more than an hour, but they still couldn't break the entrance of the inner space. In desperation, the two, who felt a deep sense of powerlessness, could only give up. What should we do, Empyrean ink feather? I'm afraid we can't break open the inner space of sky beyond with brute force. Empyrean Di Xian frowned tightly and said helplessly. It doesn't matter if we can't enter. Empyrean ink feather's deep eyes flickered with ferocity. We'll wait outside sky beyond for him to come out. As long as he dares to leave sky beyond, you and I can join forces to capture him alive. At that time, all the opportunities on him will be ours. All right, that's the only way. After speaking, Empyrean ink feather and Empyrean Di Xian didn't continue to attack the entrance of the inner space. They left sky beyond and waited outside for Yi Chunfeng to come out. Remember the URL. Sanwa Chinese Network. Chapter 1511. The celestial race's methods are truly terrifying. They actually have a way to make the celestial race's experts descend. Net. Although Yi Chunfeng had escaped into the inner space, the situation outside was still a bit troublesome for him. He had never imagined that the celestial race's experts could descend. This had completely disrupted his plans. Fortunately, he still had the Celestial Emperor's projection. However, after seeing how terrifying Empyrean Mou was, he wasn't sure if Empyrean Mou had an even more heaven-defying trump card. Forget it, I'll just take one step at a time. Perhaps Ling Yu's father left her an even more terrifying opportunity. By borrowing the opportunity of the sky beyond heaven, she might be able to escape from the threat of the celestial race's experts. Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself. Then, he quickly adjusted his breathing and recovered. Then, he flew to a very spacious place without any scenery. After flying for an unknown period of time, Yi Chunfeng saw a black dot appear in front of him. As he got closer, he saw that the black dot was a spatial black hole. He suspected that it was the exit of this space. However, under this spatial black hole, there was a 2-meter-tall sculpture. It was covered in black rock and held a black dragon spear. Although this sculpture looked dead, Yi Chunfeng instinctively smelled a dangerous aura when he looked at it. There's a problem with this sculpture. Yi Chunfeng didn't dare to be careless. He took out the dual heavens slash and approached the black sculpture. Ka. As Yi Chunfeng slowly approached, cracking sounds came from the black sculpture. The thick black rock suddenly cracked, revealing a man wearing black armor and holding a black dragon spear. His aura was several times more terrifying than Yi Chunfeng's. Defeat me and you can enter the next space. The black-armored man suddenly opened his eyes and spoke in human language without a trace of emotion. Okay. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and stepped out with his sword. He interweaved with the sharp sword and attacked the black-armored man. Yi Chunfeng attacked with his 10,000-foot-long warship. The black-armored man didn't dodge. He held the black dragon spear in his hand and casually thrust it out. Immediately, the power of the entire space twisted, breaking apart all the warships that were coming at him. The spear pierced towards Yi Chunfeng's throat. Not good. Yi Chunfeng did not expect the black-armored man to be so terrifyingly strong. A simple spear strike was able to break through his attacks and threaten his life. He immediately summoned his sword wings and used the twofold flow of time to dodge. Chi! A deep spear mark appeared on the surface of the sword wings. Yi Chunfeng was sent flying several thousand meters away by the terrifying spear light. He fell heavily to the ground and was seriously injured. So strong. Yi Chunfeng wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and struggled to get up from the ground. The serious expression on his face deepened. After witnessing how terrifying the black-armored man was, Yi Chunfeng felt that if the black-armored man wanted to kill him, it would be as easy as blowing off dust. "You're too weak. You're not qualified to enter the next space." The black-armored man coldly looked at Yi Chunfeng, who had been injured by his spear. "Spirit fish, fire Qilin, come out!" Yi Chunfeng pondered for a moment and did not continue to attack. Instead, he summoned the spirit fish and the fire Qilin. He wanted to enter the inner space through them without drawing any blood. "You are the Black King puppet refined by my master." The fire Qilin opened its bell-sized eyes wide as it looked at the black-armored man, recognizing his origin. "Fire Qilin, why are you here?" The Black King puppet had a certain level of spiritual intelligence. It recognized that the fire Qilin was one of the sacred beasts that followed the Lord of the North Sea. "I've found the serene." The fire Qilin turned into a human and pointed at the spirit fish beside it. "Serene, you found the serene." The Black King puppet's emotionless face immediately changed. He stared at the spirit fish as if he wanted to see through her. "Is my father still alive?" Looking at the Black King puppet, who had guarded the inner space of sky beyond for many years, the spirit fish was slightly nervous. She was afraid of hearing bad news. "I don't know. I haven't seen the old master for countless years." The Black King puppet shook his head and said, "Although the old master was seriously injured, with his strength, he may be able to survive." "Then how can I see my father?" the spirit fish asked anxiously. "The old master is in this space. I'll send you in." The Black King puppet did not doubt the spirit fish's identity as it sensed the blood of the true god and the divine ape flowing in her body. "Black King puppet, it's all thanks to Brother Chingfeng that I'm still alive today. Can you let Brother Chingfeng in?" the spirit fish asked softly. "I can let him in, but he must take my spear head-on," the Black King puppet said ruthlessly. "Black King puppet, you are the imperial puppet refined by my master. Even a 6-star Dao master could not withstand your spear attack. How can young Master Yi withstand it?" the fire Qilin said. "Don't worry. I'll suppress my attack to that of a 2-star Dao master and give him a chance to live. But if he can't withstand even 1% of my attack, he is not qualified to inherit my master's legacy," the Black King puppet said coldly. "All right, come on then." Yi Chunfeng was quite confident in his own strength and was fully confident that he could withstand the attack of a 2-star Dao master. "Huh!" the Black Emperor puppet roared and took a step forward, instantly shattering the space within a radius of 1 mile. Following that, a strange power surged out of his body. He held the black dragon's spear in his hand and thrust out a black spear light, which directly cut through the incomparably hard space. Like a violent black river, it pierced towards Yi Chunfeng. Primordial bloodline, burn. The power of the Black King puppet's spear had reached the peak of a 2-star Dao master. Yi Chunfeng did not dare to be careless. He decisively burned his primordial bloodline and summoned the 3 spiritual level Dao diagrams to block the attack. Black Dragon of Absolutes. Yi Chunfeng turned himself into a sword and merged the 3 spiritual level Dao diagrams and more than 1 billion kilograms of strength to transform into a black dragon. But in the next moment, Yi Chunfeng's Black Dragon of Absolutes was shattered. The Black King puppet's black spear pierced toward him like a hot knife through butter. Silver Sword Soul Block. Yi Chunfeng's eyes narrowed. His silver sword spirit broke out of his sea of soul and pierced the shockingly powerful black spear light, blocking this spear attack. Break! Then Yi Chunfeng took a step forward. More than 1 billion kilograms of strength exploded and bombarded the violently trembling black spear light. The black spear light was forcibly shattered. Silver Sword Soul. I didn't expect that with your strength, you not only cultivated a sword soul but also refined it to the silver level. The Black King puppet was surprised, and it said, Okay, since you broke my spear attack, I'll send you in. But you are not a relative of my master, so you have to rely on your own efforts if you want to inherit my master's legacy. If you are not strong enough, you will not gain anything inside. After that, 2 teleportation formations appeared above the Black King puppet's head and transported Yi Chunfeng, the spiritual fish, and the fire Kylan to the core space of the outer world. Remember the website. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 1512. The spirit fish and the fire Qilin are gone. When the blinding white light disappeared, Yi Chunfeng realized that the spirit fish and the fire Qilin were gone. He guessed that they must have been sent to the core of heavens beyond by the Black Tharch puppet to inherit the core inheritance of the Lord of the Dark North. Although Yi Chunfeng was very interested in the primitive Tao embryo left behind by the Lord of the Dark North, he knew that it was left for the spirit fish by the Lord of the Dark North. He was not too greedy and flew into the starry space to look for opportunities. As he flew, Yi Chunfeng was stunned, and a faint smile appeared on his face. After refining the demon core of the 6-headed snake, the Chaos Divine Beast and the Golden Clear Dragon Blood Lion had all broken through to the high-grade Sacred Beast level. The Space Swallower had also devoured the essence blood of the 6-headed snake and successfully evolved into a mid-grade Sacred Beast. Its space-swallowing power was even stronger. I hope that I can gain more in heavens beyond to lay the foundation for my ascension to the heaven region. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and quickly flapped his sword wings, creating gusts of wind. He flew rapidly in the starry space, looking for opportunities. About an hour later, Yi Chunfeng saw 3 spatial whirlpools of different colors appear in the distance. Waves of twisting power that made people shudder were released from the whirlpools, causing the entire space to tremble violently. White, gray, black. As he approached the 3 whirlpools, Yi Chunfeng saw that the colors of the whirlpools were different, and the energy they released was also different. Among them, the white whirlpool released the weakest energy, followed by the gray whirlpool, and the black whirlpool released the most terrifying energy. It was as if anything that was sucked into it would be crushed. Yi Chunfeng glanced at the 3 whirlpools and took a deep breath. He did not hesitate to enter the most terrifying and dangerous black whirlpool. Wealth came from danger. The most dangerous place was more likely to hide a great opportunity. Jiang Yi was confident in his strength and foundation. He believed that he had the strength to obtain the great opportunity in the black whirlpool. Swish! The sword wings flapped violently, carrying Yi Chunfeng to fly at a high speed. Like an irresistible divine sword, it tore apart the terrifying distorting power and broke into the black vortex. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng felt an unimaginable force pressing down on him from all directions, wanting to crush his body. Grand Mist Bloodline, ignite! Yi Chunfeng quickly ignited his bloodline and pushed his physical body's strength to the limit. He entered the spatial trajectory and shuttled through the terrifying spatial distortions. Buzz, buzz, buzz! Suddenly, the distorted space trembled, and a meteor with a trail of starlight flew over at an extremely fast speed, attacking Yi Chunfeng. Yi Chunfeng had no way of dodging this meteor attack that had suddenly appeared. He could only attack with his scythe. Silver Sword Soul, break! Yi Chunfeng's mind moved, and the Silver Sword spirit broke out of his sea of soul, turning into a 3-meter-long sword aura. The sword slashed at the meteor formed by the will of the Great Path, splitting it apart. Not long after, another meteor of Tao intent appeared in the distorted space and attacked Yi Chunfeng. As Yi Chunfeng got closer to the distorted space, the meteors attacking him increased in number, causing him to bear an enormous pressure. Fortunately, the Silver Sword Soul was powerful enough, and the innate sword embryo was indestructible. In addition, Yi Chunfeng's physical strength had exceeded 1 billion pounds. The meteors that were attacking him at high speed were unable to harm him. They were easily crushed by him as he slowly approached the spatial entrance. Rumble! Suddenly, Yi Chunfeng felt the entire space tremble. A giant meteor with a diameter of more than 1 mile with innate Dao patterns on its surface broke out of the spatial entrance and blasted towards Yi Chunfeng with an unstoppable force. True dragon transformation. Facing the final test of the space, Yi Chunfeng immediately transformed into a blood dragon that was more than 1 kilometer long and covered in blood-red scales. He opened his bloody mouth and released an intimidating dragon's aura that collided with the giant meteor. Roar, roar, roar! A deafening dragon's roar resounded through the space. After transforming into a blood dragon, Yi Chunfeng pushed his physical strength and the power of Dao intent to the limit. He continuously crushed the Dao intent contained in the meteor and cracked it. Break! The dragon and star clashed for more than 10 breaths of time. The blood dragon that was riddled with scars roared and erupted with a shocking force. It forcibly penetrated the giant meteor and flew out of the spatial entrance that was emitting a misty white light. It arrived in a primeval forest with towering ancient trees that covered the sky. Huff, huff, I'm finally out. Although he had charged out forcefully, Yi Chunfeng still had a lingering fear from the previous experience. If Yi Chunfeng hadn't broken through to the 6-star Dao Saint and his strength hadn't increased greatly, it wouldn't have been so easy for him to charge out so smoothly. Yi Chunfeng quickly consumed a Saint elixir and used the spiritual pearl of life to quickly heal his injuries. More than 2 hours later, Yi Chunfeng recovered from his injuries and adjusted his body to its peak state. He slowly stood up and flew in the lush forest. Roar! Roar! After flying for a short while, a deafening tiger roar rang out. A 30-meter-long demonic tiger covered in dark red tiger fur drilled out of the forest, its eyes emitting an ominous glint. It opened its bloody mouth and roared loudly at Yi Chunfeng. Mid-grade Saint Beast. Sensing the strength of the dark red demonic tiger in front of him, Yi Chunfeng's pupils shrank. His rapidly flying body transformed into a dazzling afterimage. Without waiting for the demonic tiger to make a second reaction, he directly tore apart its huge body and killed it. Keep! After killing the demon tiger in an instant, Yi Chunfeng immediately kept its demon core, demon heart, and all the valuable items on its body into the universe mirror. He then continued to fly into the depths of the forest, searching for a great opportunity in the forest. This forest had existed for God knows how many years. It was filled with spiritual energy and had nurtured many terrifying saint beasts. However, Yi Chunfeng's strength was no longer the same as before. Even high-grade saint beasts couldn't threaten him. After fighting for a long time, Yi Chunfeng arrived in the depths of the mountain forest. He discovered a vast, bottomless lake. What is that? Yi Chunfeng's eyes narrowed. Through the slowly drifting clouds, he discovered a ball of illusory white light above the lake. Within the white light, he suspected that it was Feng Yu Yibao. What a powerful seal! The thing in this white light is not simple. Yi Chunfeng closed his eyes and controlled his God-Eater brain to sense it. He discovered that the Feng Yu Yibao in the white light was extremely powerful. It was definitely the most terrifying thing he had ever seen in his life. What kind of treasure is sealed in here? Yi Chunfeng opened his eyes. They were shining brightly. He walked through the void and arrived above the vast lake. He wanted to get close to the white light and obtain the sealed item. However, the moment he flew above the lake, he suddenly felt a terrifying illusion force surging from all directions. It directly broke into his soul sea and created a large number of illusions that confused him. In the next moment, the quiet surface of the lake suddenly rippled. A man wearing red armor and holding a long spear broke through the surface of the lake. His eyes flashed with a fierce light as he pierced his spear through the air towards Yi Chunfeng, who was confused by the illusion. Remember the website. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 1513. Seeing that Yi Chunfeng was about to be pierced by the spear, Yi Chunfeng, who was under the influence of the illusions, suddenly moved. He turned into an afterimage, causing the red-armored man's spear to miss. You're not confused by the illusions. The red-armored man revealed a surprised expression. He was shocked that Yi Chunfeng was actually able to dispel the illusion in an instant and dodge his fatal attack. Although the illusions are powerful, they're useless against me. Yi Chunfeng had cultivated a spirit illusion level Dao diagram, so he could control the erosion of illusions. Not to mention, Yi Chunfeng also had the God-Eater brain, a killer weapon. The illusions on the lake were no threat to him. Not bad, you're not bad. The red-armored man said coldly, defeat me and pass the test left by my master. Then, the true Spirit Saint skill will be yours. True Spirit Saint skill. Yi Chunfeng raised his eyebrows, and a great wave of emotions surged in his heart. With the God-Eater brain, Yi Chunfeng knew the heaven domain very well. He knew that the true Spirit Saint skill was more powerful than the ultimate Saint skill and had unimaginable power. If he could master the true Spirit Saint skill, the power of his attack would surpass that of the ultimate Saint weapon and become his most terrifying trump card. No wonder the outer sky is the most dangerous place in the central world. There are true Spirit Saint skills in it. Yi Chunfeng suppressed the excitement in his heart and turned his gaze back to the red-armored man. He knew that although the true Spirit Saint skill was precious, it was not easy to get it. He had to defeat the red-armored man first. 1-star peak Dao Master. Yi Chunfeng controlled the God-Eater brain to sense the strength of the red-armored man. He was secretly relieved. The red-armored man's strength was completely under his control. It was not difficult to defeat him. Cosmos Sword Formation. With a thought from Yi Chunfeng, 300 Qiankuan swords broke out of his body and formed a mysterious Qiankuan sword diagram above his head. The Qiankuan sword diagram swallowed and emitted a terrifying sword might that locked onto the red-armored man. "Ha!" The red-armored man roared. The terrifying sound of his roar dissipated the sword might that had locked onto him. He wielded a fiery red spear that seemed to flicker with flames as he stabbed it towards Yi Chunfeng. Cosmos Sword Formation, Attack. Yi Chunfeng wanted to test the strength of the red-armored man. He controlled the Qiankuan sword formation to attack. Numerous sword beams with the power of the universe flew down, turning into an endless rain of swords that engulfed the red-armored man. Spear like a dragon, radiance like the wind. The red-armored man ignored the attack of the Cosmos sword formation. The red spear in his hand spun rapidly, turning into a fire tornado with astonishing power. It swept through the void, breaking the sword shadow that was flying towards him and breaking the attack of the Cosmos sword formation. What a powerful attack! The red-armored man's attack has definitely surpassed the limit of a 1-star Dao Master and reached the level of a 2-star Dao Master. After witnessing the red-armored man's strength, Yi Chunfeng immediately combined the Cosmos sword formation with his mind and turned it into an invincible giant sword. With the power of more than 1 billion kilograms, the sword broke the fire tornado and forced the red-armored man to retreat. Your attack power is not bad, but it's still not enough to defeat me. The red-armored man spoke in human language. He held the fiery red spear and continued to attack Yi Chunfeng. 3 heads and 6 arms. Yi Chunfeng shifted his mind and transformed into his ultimate form. He held the 6 supreme sacred weapons and faced the red-armored man head-on, fighting fiercely with him. Although the red-armored man's attack power was strong, Yi Chunfeng's close-range attacks were more terrifying. The two of them fought with speed and strength. They fought fiercely on the illusion-filled lake, neither giving in to the other. Innate Sword Embryo, Silver Sword Soul, merge. When the fierce battle reached its climax, Yi Chunfeng shifted his mind and the Silver Sword Soul and Innate Sword Embryo broke out of his body. They quickly merged and slashed at the red-armored man to disperse his attack. When the red-armored man resisted the attack of the Innate Sword Embryo with all his strength, Yi Chunfeng's right hand merged with the Dead Spirit Pearl and punched at the red-armored man's chest. The terrible curtain of death broke into his body and destroyed the worry in his body. Well, what kind of power is this? The red-armored man was shocked. He found that the worry in his body was being disintegrated by the death power. Dragon-subduing pillars. Seizing the opportunity when the red-armored man broke the death power, Yi Chunfeng deduced the 3 spiritual-level Dao diagrams to the extreme. They turned into 9 dragon-subduing pillars and fell from the sky. They bombarded the red-armored man's body one after another. The terrible power smashed him into the lake. Wrath of divine punishment. The red-armored man thrust out his spear with all his strength, piercing through the dragon-subduing pillars. Yi Chunfeng gathered the wrath of divine punishment in his right fist and punched at the red-armored man's chest. The power of over 1 billion Jin and the wrath of divine punishment exploded at the same time, fiercely bombarding the red-armored man's body and forcing him to retreat step by step. Cosmos Sword Formation, Cosmos Strike. After successfully pushing the red-armored man back, Yi Chunfeng followed up with another attack. He slashed at the Cosmos Sword Formation and pushed the power of the Dead Spirit Pearl to the extreme, not giving the red-armored man a chance to breathe. Dragon-subduing spear. The red-armored man's defense was extremely strong. Facing Yi Chunfeng's tide-like attacks, he only suffered light injuries. Relying on his strong defense to withstand the attacks, the red-armored man quickly merged with the red spear in his hand, turning into a dragon-like spear. He pierced at Yi Chunfeng with a whistling sound. Innate sword embryo fuse. Facing the red-armored man's spear, Yi Chunfeng did not retreat. Instead, he fused with the innate sword embryo, turning it into an invincible divine sword. He used the most tyrannical stance to meet the attack. 1. The divine sword and dragon spear collided, instantly erupting with a world-shaking strength. A torrential force surged above the lake, shaking the surface of the lake and setting off layers upon layers of giant wave. The entire space was thrown into chaos. 1 billion Jin of strength erupt. Withstanding the unimaginable pressure, Yi Chunfeng pushed the strength of his physical body to the extreme. He continued to deduce the 3 spirit-grade Dao diagrams without backing down. The two were like 2 meteors, fiercely repelling each other in the void. As time passed, cracks began to appear on Yi Chunfeng's body, which was comparable to a mid-grade sacred artifact. The red-armored man's situation was not good either. The blood-red battle armor on his body continued to crack and dark red blood flowed out. Silver Sword Spirit Break. Seizing the opportunity of the red-armored man's body breaking apart, Yi Chunfeng controlled the Silver Sword Spirit to break into the red-armored man's body, crazily destroying his physical strength and weakening his attacks. Finally, after the two faced off for an incense stick's worth of time, the red-armored man was gradually unable to endure. He was sent flying by Yi Chunfeng's sword, crashing into the turbulent lake. "You're not bad. You actually managed to injure me in a frontal attack." The red-armored man broke out of the lake. His deep eyes flashed with a sharp light as he said, "Take my final spear. If you can withstand it, then you will have a chance to obtain the true Spirit Saint's skill left behind by Master." "All right, come on." Yi Chunfeng's entire body was covered in blood. His injuries were not light. He took a deep breath and fearlessly said, "Absolute Spear." The red-armored man shouted and suddenly exploded his body, turning into an endless amount of energy that fused into the red spear to launch the final attack. With a thrust of the spear, the entire space seemed to be torn apart. The terrifying spear might make Yi Chunfeng smell the thick threat of death. Universe Sword Array. Absolute Sword Black Dragon. Gu Jianga. Space Fold. Feeling the scariness of the red-armored man's last spear, Yi Chunfeng used all his strength to weaken the spear's power. Finally, after a series of fierce attacks from Yi Chunfeng, the power of the absolute spear was greatly weakened. Yi Chunfeng held the innate sword embryo and tried his best to block the spear's attack. The black spear was shattered, and Yi Chunfeng was also sent flying thousands of meters away, crashing into the turbulent lake. Remember the website. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 1514. Strong, too strong. If I hadn't cultivated the aura body to perfection, I'm afraid that spear would have blown my body apart. Yi Chunfeng, whose body was covered in wounds and blood, flew out of the lake. He gasped for breath and said with lingering fear. Yi Chunfeng was severely injured in the battle with the red-armored man. Even with the spiritual pearl of life, he had to spend more than a day to completely heal his injuries. He stepped on the void and appeared beside the white light that was filled with a powerful seal. When Yi Chunfeng reached out to touch the white light, a deep voice suddenly sounded in his soul sea. The universal star uranium is one of the inheritances of my North Underworld mountain. If you want to obtain it, you must pass a test. What kind of test do I need? Yi Chunfeng asked. You have 6 hours to memorize. If you can memorize the universal star's cultivation chant in 6 hours, you will be able to obtain it. If you fail, you will lose it forever, the deep voice said. 6 hours is enough. Yi Chunfeng had the God-Eater brain, so his memory and analysis ability were definitely top-notch. Although the true Spirit Saint's skill was profound and difficult to understand, he believed that 6 hours was enough. Alright, you can start memorizing now. After that, the seal that sealed the universal star seal mysteriously disappeared. In midair, the scroll of universal star foolish refining appeared in front of Yi Chunfeng's eyes. God-Eater brain, deduce the memory. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath. The God-Eater brain rapidly deduced and formed a powerful soul force. It penetrated into the universal star foolish refining chant and quickly memorized it. The universal star uranium was a low-rank true Spirit Saint skill. The cultivation chant was extremely complicated. Normal people who just came in contact with it would not be able to memorize it in 6 hours. However, the God-Eater brain had become extremely heaven-defying after many evolutions. Under its rapid deduction, the universal star foolish refining chant was slowly memorized in the brain. About 2 hours later, Yi Chunfeng suddenly opened his tightly shut eyes and said, Senior, I have already memorized the mouth earthly star foolish refinement chant. You really memorized it? The old voice said with some surprise. And Yi Chunfeng nodded. Junior, how long do you think you'll need to master the cosmic seal? The old voice pondered for a moment before asking. Junior should be able to grasp the basics of the heaven and earth astral seal within 3 days. Yi Chunfeng said. Alright, then I'll give you 3 days. If you can display the heaven and earth astral seal within 3 days, I'll send you out of here to challenge an even greater test. If you fail, I'll send you out of here. The aged voice said. Good accept the test. Inwardly Yi Chunfeng rejoiced. When he had first arrived in this place, he had guessed that this would be his final destination. The Lord of the Dark North would never give away his good fortune to an outsider. But now that the opportunity had presented itself, Yi Chunfeng knew that he had to seize it. Who? Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and closed his eyes. He controlled the God-Eater brain to deduce and analyze the heaven and earth star foolish refinement formula. In his sea of soul, he repeatedly simulated the changes of the heaven and earth star seal. It is indeed a true spirit sacred skill. The requirements for Tao intent are so high. The God-Eater brain deduced the heaven and earth star essence, the heaven and earth spiritual Tao diagrams, the life and death spiritual Tao diagrams, and the 5 elements spiritual Tao diagrams involuntarily emerged from Yi Chunfeng's body. The Tao intent above his head evolved into a vast sea of Tao. Although Yi Chunfeng's comprehension of Tao intent was beyond the scope of the Duhan continent, he realized that cultivating the heaven and earth star essence was still rather strenuous. Soon, a day or so had passed. After a day of deduction by the God-Eater brain, Yi Chunfeng had a general understanding of the heaven and earth star foolish refinement formula. In his mind, he had already formed the embryonic form of the heaven and earth star seal. However, he still needed some time to display it. Yi Qianfeng cultivated the heaven and earth star essence in the heavens beyond. The spirit fish and the fire qilin appeared in the core space of the heavens beyond. In this space, they saw an illusory temple. When the spirit fish looked at the temple, she suddenly felt as though she was being summoned. Her entire heart suddenly tensed up. At this moment, the spirit fish was very sure that the figure that had appeared countless times in her dreams was in that temple. Fire qilin, I don't dare to go in. I'm scared. Looking at the temple in the distance, the spirit fish bit her lips and did not dare to go closer. Serene, you have to face what you have to face. Moreover, with Master's great abilities, he won't die so easily. The fire qilin softly comforted her. But if Father is not dead, so many years have passed. Why didn't he leave this place and look for me? The spirit fish voiced her worries. Perhaps Master has been recuperating all this time. The fire qilin softly sighed in its heart. Let's go, Serene. I will accompany you in. The fire qilin said. All right. The spirit fish took a deep breath. Riding on the fire qilin, she flew towards the temple in the distance. Buzz, buzz, buzz. When the spirit fish and the fire qilin appeared in the temple, the 4 god statues that had been guarding the temple for countless years suddenly opened their eyes. An aura that was enough to shatter mountains was emitted from their bodies, oppressing the spirit fish and the fire qilin. Under the impact of the aura emitted by the 4 god statues, the true god's blood in the spirit fish's body suddenly awakened. It turned into a true god's shadow, standing on top of the spirit fish's head. True god's shadow. Looking at the true god's shadow in the spirit fish's body, the terrifying aura emitted by the 4 god statues strangely disappeared. The 4 god statues seemed to have a life of their own. They uniformly knelt on the ground and said, Serene. The spirit fish calmed down and looked at the 4 god statues guarding the temple and asked, Is my father inside? Is he still alive? Our duty is to subdue the temple and not let outsiders in. As for whether Master is alive or dead, we don't know. The 4 god statues said in unison. Even you don't know whether my father is alive or dead. The spirit fish calmed down and became nervous again. She did not dare to enter the temple. Serene, do you want to go in and meet Master? The god statues looked at the cautious spirit fish and asked. Let's go in. The spirit fish knew that now was not the time to run away. She took a deep breath and said, Seal open. The 4 god statues shot out 4 rays of god light and injected into the temple door that was dozens of meters tall. It was engraved with a large number of mysterious ancient runes. The seal on the temple door was broken and the temple was opened. Huff, huff. Looking at the temple that was filled with an ancient aura, the spirit fish took a few deep breaths. She took heavy steps and walked towards the temple. When she saw the center of the temple, she felt as if she was struck by lightning. Her body trembled and she almost lost her balance, because in the center of the temple, there was an ancient coffin made of ancient god wood. Looking at the ancient coffin, the spirit fish had an inexplicable bad feeling in her heart. Tears flowed uncontrollably. Father, are you still alive? The spirit fish took heavy steps and walked towards the ancient coffin. Using all the strength in her body, she slowly opened the coffin lid. P.S. The WeChat public account has a total of 1,000 people. If you want more updates from Yunlei, add the WeChat public account. YLTY83 or remember the URL. Sanwa Chinese Network. Chapter 1515. Ka ka ka. The coffin was pushed open by the spirit fish bit by bit, and a suffocating aura spread out from the coffin. Net looking at the coffin, both the spirit fish and the fire qilin were stunned. They didn't see the Lord of the Dark North's body in the coffin. Instead, there was only a human-shaped, dark stone that was devouring all the light around it. Primitive Tau embryo. This is the primitive Tau embryo that Master obtained back then. Looking at this dark stone, the fire qilin immediately recognized that it was one of the most powerful stones in the universe, the primitive Tao embryo. It was the best material for making doppelgangers, and contained a heaven-defying Tao power. Why is there only this primitive Tao embryo in the coffin? Where is my father? Where did he go? The spirit fish let out a sigh of relief when she didn't see the Lord of the Dark North's body. She looked around, trying to find the Lord of the Dark North. I think Master is not dead, he must be alive. The fire Qilin suddenly became excited. Really? The spirit fish's eyes lit up. This coffin is made of divine wood, and can protect the body for tens of thousands of years. If something really happened to Master, he would definitely seal his body in this coffin. The fire Qilin analyzed, but now it's not Master's body in the coffin, but the primitive Tao embryo. This proves that Master is not dead, and he is most likely hiding somewhere to heal himself. Serene, try and see if you can make this primitive Tao embryo recognize you as its owner. Okay. The spirit fish also knew the value of the primitive Tao embryo. Otherwise, her father wouldn't have died because of it. The spirit fish bit her finger, dripped a drop of blood into the primitive Tao embryo, and tried to make it recognize her as its owner. After absorbing the spirit fish's blood, a strong force suddenly shot out from the human-shaped primitive Tao embryo, which turned into a thin and long light strand and pierced into the spirit fish's finger, crazily absorbing the true God bloodline in her body. The spirit fish didn't panic at all. Instead, she gritted her teeth and endured the pain of losing the true God bloodline, letting the primitive Tao embryo devour her blood. As more and more blood was lost and the spirit fish started to feel dizzy, the primitive Tao embryo stopped devouring. A strong force woke up in the primitive Tao embryo, and it slowly sat up. Lingyu, my child, you are finally here. In the next moment, a deep voice sounded from the primordial Tao embryo. The spirit fish opened its eyes wide as it saw a blurry face in the primordial Tao embryo. This face belonged to its father, the Lord of the Dark North. Father, is that you? Is it really you? Looking at the face in the original embryo of Tao, the spirit fish became especially excited and yelled out in excitement. It's me. The Lord of the Dark North said. Father, are you all right? I'm very worried about you. The spirit fish asked anxiously. Spirit fish, don't worry about me. I'm fine. The Lord of the North Sea's words made the spirit fish completely relieved. She was so excited that hot tears gushed out uncontrollably from her eyes. Back then, when I was on the verge of death, I was saved by someone. I think we, father and daughter, will be able to meet soon. Father, where are you now? I want to go and find you. The spirit fish asked eagerly. No, now is not the time for us father and daughter to meet. Once I break through to the Tao God realm, I will definitely look for you. The Lord of the Dark North said. Tao God realm? Master, are you going to break through? The fire Qilin knew how terrifying a God realm master was. It could be said that a God realm master was definitely the most terrifying existence in the Qingyun realm. Even in the Void God realm, a God realm master was a master of a region. Yes, this is a blessing in disguise. I met a master. When I step into the Qingyun realm, I will definitely kill that hypocrite Sky Lord and avenge my Dark North mountain. The Lord of the Dark North said domineeringly. The fire Qilin is willing to follow Master to death. The fire Qilin knelt on the ground and said excitedly. Fire Qilin, from now on, you will follow my daughter. I am going to send you to the alien battlefield in the Qingyun realm, and let you experience life and death there. The Lord of the Dark North said. Master, Serene and I are still too weak. Isn't it too dangerous to go to the alien battlefield? The fire Qilin knew how terrifying the alien battlefield was. Not to mention them, even Tao emperors would find it difficult to survive there. Before ascending to the Qingyun realm, I will increase your strength. I will also leave my Dark North Mountain Sex treasure, the dimensional sacred weapon, to you. Also, I know that Shifeng is still alive. When the time comes, I will let him accompany you to the alien battlefield. Together with this primitive Tao embryo that is comparable to a peak Tao emperor, as long as you are willing, there will be no big problems. The Lord of the Dark North said. Father, can you send Brother Qingfeng to the Qingyun realm? I know that all his efforts are for the sake of going to the Qingyun realm. And I can be where I am today because of Brother Qingfeng. Without him, there would be no me. The spiritual fish was very dependent on Yi Qinfeng and was unwilling to be separated from him. You are talking about the young man who entered the outer sky with you. The Lord of the Dark North said. His talent is indeed the best I have seen in my life. However, he has his own path to walk. I can't pave the way for him, but I can give him some benefits and give him a few big opportunities. But, alright, spiritual fish, as long as you work hard and leave the alien battlefield alive, you will meet each other in the Qingyun realm one day. The Lord of the Dark North interrupted her and said slowly, Come with me to get the dimensional sacred weapon. After it recognizes you as its master, I will send you to the Qingyun realm. Father, before I ascend, I want to say goodbye to Brother Qingfeng. The spiritual fish gently said. All good things must come to an end. There is no need to say goodbye. After he leaves here, I will tell him about your ascension. The Lord of the Dark North said. Shuren, just listen to Master's arrangement. He will not harm you. The Fire Qilin softly comforted, with young Master Ye's talent and foundation, he will definitely ascend to the Qingyun realm. We will take advantage of the alien battlefield to cultivate. Only when our strength increases we will be able to help young Master Yi. Alright. The spiritual fish knew that she could not change anything, so she reluctantly nodded. The spiritual fish and the Fire Qilin followed the primitive Taoist fetus to the inner hall and saw the dimensional sacred weapon sealed in a light pillar. The heavenly sacred weapon was definitely the most terrifying weapon in the Qingyun realm. It contained unimaginable power. If one could wield the strongest power of the heavenly sacred weapon, it would be enough to split the central world in half. Looking at the dimensional sacred weapon hanging in front of them, the spiritual fish and the Fire Qilin instinctively felt their souls trembling. They had a feeling that this dimensional sacred weapon could cut them into pieces with a light wave. Spiritual fish, with your current strength, I am afraid that you are not able to recognize the dimensional sacred weapon as its master. During this period of time, I will help you and the Fire Qilin to increase your strength. As he spoke, the Lord of the Dark North mobilized the secret weapon he had left in the Divine Palace. He activated several layers of formations and drew in endless pure energy. Like rivers flowing into the sea, the energy poured into the spiritual fish and the Fire Qilin, forcibly increasing their strength. Remember the website. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 15-16. After 3 days of deduction by the God-Eater brain, Yi Qinfeng finally grasped the counterattack and attacking method of the Heaven-Earth Astral Seal. Net Heaven-Earth Astral Seal. Yi Qinfeng suddenly opened his eyes and deduced the 3 spiritual level Tao diagrams to the extreme. He gathered them between his palms and condensed them into a giant handprint that seemed to contain the stars of heaven and earth. Then, he threw it toward the lake in the distance. Boom! Stars fell from the sky and heaven and earth were in turmoil. The terrible astral seal created a huge vacuum area in the lake with a radius of dozens of miles. The terrible power destroyed all life. Not bad, not bad. In 3 days, you have mastered the charm of the Heaven-Earth Astral Seal and used about 30% of its power. You are really outstanding. The old voice sounded again. I will now fulfill my promise and send you to the next space. In that space, you will receive greater challenges. If you can succeed, you will receive unimaginable benefit. After that, a transmitting light formation appeared above Yi Qinfeng's head. A large amount of transmitting power poured out from the transmitting light formation, engulfing Yi Qinfeng and sending him to another space. Mirror, why is there a mirror in this space? When the dazzling white light in front of Yi Chunfeng disappeared, he found himself in an independent space. In this space, there was nothing but a smooth mirror. What's so special about this mirror? Yi Chunfeng stared at the smooth mirror for a while before slowly walking over. He couldn't see anything special about it. When he reached out his right hand and touched the smooth mirror, strange soul halos came out of the mirror and poured into Yi Chunfeng's sea of soul. Then, a large amount of information poured out of Yi Chunfeng's sea of soul, allowing him to understand the real situation of this mirror. The threefold holy light realm contains 3 mirror images. I can challenge different mirror images of different levels and get different rewards. But the challenge of the threefold holy light realm is too difficult. The strength of the mirror image of the threefold holy light realm is 1 realm higher than mine, and the strength of the threefold holy light realm is 3 realms higher than mine, reaching the level of a threefold holy light realm Tao Master. And during the test, I can only use my natal treasure and not the other treasures. Yi Chunfeng could not help but reveal a grave expression after understanding the test for the 3rd layer of the sacred light realm. Although his current strength was enough to defeat a 1st-level mirror image and challenge a 2nd-level mirror image, it was too difficult to fight a 3rd-level mirror image. He might have to use his life soul technique and burn his lifespan to the limit to have a chance of fighting with his full strength. Let's see what rewards I can get by defeating a mirror image first. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and decided to challenge a mirror image first to test the power and difficulty of the mirror image. I challenge the first mirror image. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and sent a message to the threefold holy light realm Tao Master. Then, he stepped out and directly walked into the holy light realm. The next moment, Yi Chunfeng found himself in an independent space. In this space, there stood a man in a black Taoist robe and a bronze mask. His body was full of explosive muscles and his huge fists were flowing with electric current. Defeat me and you will get the reward. Fail and you will die. The bronze-masked man's voice was like a muffled thunder, which shook Yi Chunfeng's eardrums slightly. Okay, come on. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and instantly burned the primordial blood. He forcibly raised his strength to the 1-star Tao Master realm and summoned his innate blood. He struck out a lightning-fast warship and attacked the bronze-masked man. Yi Chunfeng stabbed with his sword. The bronze-masked man's body burst with earth-shattering power. He waved his lightning-fast fists and punched forward, smashing the incoming warship and hitting the innate blood. The terrible power forced Yi Chunfeng to retreat. What great power! After burning the primordial blood, Yi Chunfeng's physical strength exceeded 1 billion kilograms. However, when facing the bronze-masked man head-on, Yi Chunfeng found that the bronze-masked man's strength was not weaker than his. He was slightly surprised that the bronze-masked man's strength was more than 1 billion kilograms. After the first punch, the bronze-masked man's fists emitted a deafening sound of thunder. He continuously unleashed fist after fist of terrifying power, bombarding Yi Chunfeng. He wanted to rely on his powerful strength to shatter Yi Chunfeng's body. Okay, then let's compete and see whose physical strength is stronger. Yi Chunfeng rarely met an opponent who was as strong as him. He was competitive. He put away the innate blood and stimulated the power of his 5 acupoints to meet the bronze-masked man's attack head-on. Boom, boom, boom. Their fists kept colliding. Every time they collided, a destructive power would burst out, shaking the space in the threefold holy light realm. The two of them fought with speed and strength for the time it took for an incense stick to burn. Neither of them could do anything to the other, and neither of them retreated. At this time, Yi Chunfeng decisively changed his move. A light flashed beneath his feet, and his sword steps suddenly increased by 10 times. He dodged the bronze-masked man's lightning fist radiance and circled behind him. Sensing danger behind him, the bronze-masked man instinctively turned around and sent out 2 punches towards Yi Chunfeng. Quick afterimage! When the bronze-masked man realized that his lightning fist radiance had penetrated Yi Qinfeng's body, he instinctively wanted to dodge. But at this time, Yi Qinfeng's soul force exploded, forming a powerful dizziness that blasted into his spiritual sea. Although the effect of the stun spell on the bronze-masked man was negligible, it still caused a slight delay in his reaction speed. Yi Qinfeng seized the opportunity and threw out more than 10 punches consecutively, sealing off all of the bronze-masked man's escape route. The punches landed on the bronze-masked man's body and sent him flying. Dark Underworld Extreme Dao. After sending the bronze-masked man flying, Yi Qinfeng followed up with another attack. As he approached the bronze-masked man with his sword steps, the 4 spirit-grade Dao diagrams emerged from his body and transformed into an extremely powerful extreme Dao power. They bombarded the bronze-masked man's body at close range, worsening his injuries. Bang! The bronze-masked man's strong body crashed into the hard spatial wall like a mountain. The huge impact caused his body to lose control. Seizing this rare opportunity, Yi Qinfeng deduced his Dao intent to the extreme and used all his skills to launch ferocious attacks, continuously attacking the bronze-masked man's body. Withstanding the tide-like attacks, the bronze-masked man's injuries continued to worsen and his counterattacks became weak and powerless. He was unable to force Yi Qinfeng to retreat at all. As time passed, the bronze-masked man's injuries became more and more serious. Cracks appeared on the surface of his strong body. "All right, it's time to end this battle." Feeling that the bronze-masked man was at the end of his rope, Yi Qinfeng summoned his life treasure, the Chaos Divine Wood. He held the Chaos Divine Wood in his hand and whipped the bronze-masked man's strong body, forcefully shattering his bloody right arm. Then, the Xiantian sword spirit fused with the silver sword spirit and turned into a cold light. It pierced through the bronze-masked man's defense and pierced through his head. Bang! The bronze-masked man's head exploded, and his huge body immediately shattered. A blood-red crystal and a red longsword with a powerful seal flew out. "Junior, congratulations on passing the first trial. You are rewarded with a peak-grade body-tempering stone, blood-body origin stone, and a low-grade true spirit-grade sacred artifact, Sacred Eclipse Sword." At this time, a deep voice sounded out. The blood-body origin stone and Sacred Eclipse Sword slowly floated towards Yi Qinfeng, and he was also transported out of the 3rd-level Sacred Light Realm. Remember the URL. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 15-17. Low-grade True Spirit Saint Weapon. Yi Qinfeng's eyes lit up. He took the Divine Sword of Eclipse in his hand and unsealed it. Hunting literature net then, a murderous aura spread out from the Divine Sword of Eclipse. Its aura alone surpassed that of Yi Qinfeng's 6 supreme holy treasures. The power of a true spirit saint weapon was unimaginable. If I refine the Divine Sword of Eclipse, I can easily kill a 2-star Dao Master with its attack power. Yi Qinfeng liked the Divine Sword of Eclipse very much. However, he knew that it was far from enough to fight against Celestial Master Mou. He had to further enhance his strength and foundation. Blood Vitality Stone, Supreme Quenching Stone. Although Yi Qinfeng did not know much about the Blood Vitality Stone, its value was immeasurable since it was called the Supreme Quenching Stone by a mighty figure in the Qinyun realm. It said that if I use this Blood Vitality Stone, my physical body will transform into the arcane body realm. After getting the Divine Sword of Eclipse and the Blood Vitality Stone, Yi Qinfeng did not refine them immediately. Instead, he put them into the Qiankuan realm and quietly adjusted his breath with the help of the spiritual pearl of life to recover from the injuries caused by the battle with the first mirror image. Soon, 2 days passed. Yi Qinfeng had fully recovered and walked into the 3rd Holy Light realm to take the test of the 2nd mirror image. What a terrifying aura! When he entered the 3rd Holy Light realm and saw the 2nd mirror image with a silver mask hanging in the independent space, Yi Qinfeng's pupils shrank into the most dangerous pinholes. The second mirror image is not an ordinary 2-star Tao Master, but a peak 2-star Tao Master. With the help of the God-eating brain, Yi Chunfeng confirmed the strength of the second mirror image. He could not help but feel a little troubled. With his strength, it was difficult for him to fight against a 2-star Tao Master without using the Life Spirit skill, let alone a peak 2-star Tao Master. However, the reward of the third Holy Light realm was too tempting. The first test had rewarded him with the Divine Sword of Eclipse. He had a feeling that if he passed the second test, he might be rewarded with a middle-grade True Spirit Saint skill. Defeat me and you'll be rewarded. Fail and you'll die. The silver-masked man said in a cold voice. A halberd weighing several million jin appeared in his hand. The terrifying aura made Yi Chunfeng feel suffocated. Come on! At this moment Yi Chunfeng had no way out. He took a deep breath and summoned the innate sword, preparing to face the silver-masked man head-on. Boom! The silver-masked man moved. He smashed out with his halberd, causing the space to tremble violently. The halberd, which was intertwined with boundless will of Tao, continued to grow in size, shaking the entire space to the point of buzzing. Silver Sword Soul, merge. When Yi Chunfeng sensed the terrifying power of the silver-masked man's attack, he decisively ignited his Grand Mist bloodline and fused his silver sword spirit with his innate bloodline to block the halberd that was descending from the sky. As the two sacred weapons clashed together, Yi Chunfeng immediately felt a sharp pain in his arm. An unimaginable force was transmitted into his arm through the Xiantian barrier. If it wasn't for the silver sword spirit dissipating part of the force, this attack would have injured his arm. After the attack, the silver-masked man leaped up high and continued to attack Yi Chunfeng with his halberd. Layers of halberd shadows completely enveloped Yi Chunfeng, giving him immense pressure. Chaos Divine Wood, block. The silver-masked man's attack was too powerful. It was so powerful that Yi Chunfeng couldn't block it. He had no choice but to summon the Chaos Divine Wood to block the halberd's attack. Rumble! The primal Chaos Divine Wood dragged along the primal Chaos 5 elemental light as it continued to expand and defend with all its might. The silver-masked man suddenly took a step forward and exploded with a power that made Yi Chunfeng suffocate. The halberd in his hand ruthlessly pierced into the primal Chaos Divine Wood. The terrifying power directly shook the primal Chaos Divine Wood, and it crashed into Yi Chunfeng, who was behind him. PFFF. Yi Chunfeng, who couldn't dodge in time, was hit by the Chaos Divine Wood. His entire body trembled violently as he spat out a mouthful of blood and fell a few hundred meters away. If his physical body wasn't strong enough, this attack would have destroyed his body. You're too weak. Accept your death. The silver-masked man continued to attack Yi Chunfeng with his halberd. He wanted to end the battle and kill Yi Chunfeng in one go. Life Soul Technique, burn 5,000 years of life. Yi Chunfeng had no choice but to burn 5,000 years of life. With the help of the majestic life force, he forcibly raised his strength to a 2-star Tao Master. The strength of his physical body and Tao power in his body skyrocketed. Boom! The sky halberd hit Yi Chunfeng's innate sword hard above his head. The silver-masked man's attack was equally terrifying. However, after burning 5,000 years of life, Yi Chunfeng was infinitely close to him. The strength of his physical body had also skyrocketed to the same level as the silver-masked man. Thus, he resisted the attack of the halberd. Now it's my turn to attack. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and suppressed the surging qi and blood in his clan. Suddenly, he used his divine sense, mirror image, to create a mirror image doppelganger. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng used his last trump card. He burned 3 sacred fires and used the sacred fire triple transformation, forcibly raising his strength to the peak of a 2-star Tao Master. When the silver-masked man smashed the mirror image doppelganger near him with his sky halberd, Yi Chunfeng suddenly used the horizontal sword cut. Like a flash of lightning, the sword pierced the silver-masked man's chest, breaking his defense and penetrating his chest. Although his body was penetrated, the silver-masked man did not slow down his attack. Holding the sky halberd, he stirred up a terrifying Dao will and slashed at Yi Chunfeng. However, at this moment, Yi Chunfeng became extremely terrifying. He dodged the falling sky halberd and circled behind the silver-masked man. Time acceleration cut. Before the silver-masked man could react, Yi Chunfeng suddenly sped up the flow of time by 2 times. In an instant, he stabbed the silver-masked man's body 3 times and aggravated his injuries. Under Yi Chunfeng's continuous time acceleration attacks, the silver-masked man's attack was gradually suppressed and his injuries were worsening. However, the silver-masked man was only testing the puppet. He only knew how to kill and did not know how to retreat. Therefore, his worsening injuries did not slow down his attack. Damn it, the life force is beginning to fade. Yi Chunfeng and the silver-masked man fought fiercely for more than 4 hours. Suddenly, he felt the life force in his body begin to fade. He became anxious at once. If the life force disappeared, he would fall back to the level of a 1-star Dao Master. Then, the silver-masked man might turn the tables and make him lose the test and his bloodline. Chaos Divine would suppress. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and held the innate gradually to resist the silver-masked man's sky halberd. When the 2 holy treasures collided with each other, a strong rebounding force was produced. When the 2 holy treasures collided with each other, Yi Chunfeng immediately controlled the Chaos Divine Wood to suppress the silver-masked man's head and temporarily slowed down his movements. Success or failure depends on this. Gu Jianga. Taking advantage of the silver-masked man's slow movements, Yi Chunfeng exerted the power of Tao Will and his own strength to the extreme. He raised his sword to the sky and deduced the sword principle and killing principle. The double flow of time increased the power of this sword. Bang! The silver-masked man's silver mask was broken. The silver-masked man's head was penetrated by Yi Chunfeng's sword. The terrible sword shadow directly shook his head and exploded in the void. When the life force was about to fade, Yi Chunfeng stabbed the silver-masked man's head and completed the counterattack. He passed the second test of mirror image. Remember the website. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 1518. Not bad. You've passed the second trial. You're rewarded with the mid-grade True Saint skill, Boundless 3-foot sword, and a supreme-grade Sage pill. The old voice sounded again. A jade slip with powerful restrictions and a Sage pill with 9 patterns floated in front of Yi Chunfeng. When Yi Chunfeng collected his reward, he was also sent out by the 3rd level of the Holy Light Realm. A mid-grade True Saint skill. The reward for the second trial is just as I expected. Yi Chunfeng was very satisfied with the reward for the second trial, especially the boundless 3-foot sword. It was as if it was tailor-made for him. Once he comprehended it, it would definitely be his number 1 killing move. He couldn't wait to comprehend it. However, the requirement to cultivate the boundless 3-foot sword was too high. The lowest cultivation level was a 1-star Dao Sovereign. He couldn't cultivate it at all and could only give up. How do I pass the 3rd trial? Yi Chunfeng put away the boundless 3-foot sword cultivation jade slip and ate a fruit of life, recovering the 5,000 years of lifespan he had consumed. Then, he sat down on the ground and started to think of a way to pass the 3rd trial. After seeing the difficulty of the 2nd trial, he felt that the 3rd trial would be even more difficult. If he challenged it without permission, he might lose his life. However, if he could pass it, the reward would be beyond his imagination. After thinking for a while, Yi Chunfeng made a decision. He would break through to the 8th stage and then raise his cultivation level to the pinnacle of a 6-star Dao Saint. If he could transform his physical body to the arcane body realm and raise his strength to the pinnacle of a 6-star Dao Saint, Yi Chunfeng felt that his chances of passing the 3rd trial would be more than 80%. At the very least, he would be able to protect himself. Let's break through to the 8th stage first. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath. He didn't take out the blood-body origin stone. Instead, he took out a high-grade body-tempering spiritual item and swallowed it. He quickly refined it to strengthen his physical body and lay a solid foundation for breaking through to the arcane body realm. Although the body-tempering spiritual item that Yi Chunfeng consumed was expensive, his physical body was too strong. A single body-tempering spiritual item wouldn't have much effect on his physical body. However, he had a large number of body-tempering spiritual items on him. He patiently refined them, slowly tempering his physical body and internal organs. Soon, half a month had passed. In the past half a month, Yi Chunfeng had refined a total of 17 extremely valuable body-tempering spirit items, completing the initial tempering of his physical body and causing the astral bead in his Shinmen acupoint to show signs of transformation. Blood-body origin stone, refine. After refining all the body-tempering items, Yi Chunfeng took out the blood-red blood-body origin stone and swallowed it. He controlled the divine change of 9 transformations to refine it. Under the continuous refinement of the divine 9 transformations transformation, the blood-body essence stone released a pure blood-colored essence force, which was forcefully refined by Yi Chunfeng into his Shinmen acupoint. Together with the transformation of the astral bead, the essence force released by the blood-body essence stone was forcefully refined. In the heaven domain, blood-body primal stones were extremely precious body-tempering primal stones. Many heaven domain experts who walked the body-tempering path were willing to pay any price to buy one. It's so powerful. It's only been 3 days, but the dark force has already appeared in the astral bead in my Shinmen acupoint. I estimate that it will take me 7 days at most to cultivate my physical body to the arcane body realm. Feeling the changes in his physical body and the astral bead in his Shinmen acupoint, Yi Chunfeng was pleasantly surprised. He cleared all the distracting thoughts in his mind and continued to operate the divine 9 transformations transformation to refine the blood-body origin stone with all his strength, transforming his physical body and enhancing its strength. At the same time, the spiritual fish and fire Kylan, who had absorbed a large amount of pure energy, broke through their realms one after another. The sky beyond sky left by the Lord of the North Sea completely imitated the space rules of the heaven domain. Therefore, the spiritual fish and fire Kylan broke through their realms quickly without being tested by the force of world in the soul-fighting continent. Phew, I've finally broken through to the Tao Master realm. The spiritual fish continuously absorbed the pure energy and broke through the shackles of the realm in one spurt of energy. It reached the 1-star Tao Master realm, and the bloodline of the divine ape and the true God in its body became purer. As for the fire Kylan, it had already broken through to the black level sacred beast level, which was equivalent to a 2-star demon venerable. However, the extraterritorial war was very dangerous. Tao Masters and Demon Venerables had almost no chance of survival if they entered it. Even Tao Emperors had to be cautious in it. Therefore, the Lord of the North Sea continued to pour energy into their bodies to enhance their strength. Such crazy breakthroughs could easily lead to instability in their realms. However, the Lord of the North Sea believed that if the spiritual fish and fire Kylan were to train in the extraterritorial war for a period of time, they would be able to stabilize their realms. The spiritual fish and fire Kylan were frantically improving their realms. Yi Chunfeng refined the blood-body origin stone and successfully transformed the astral bead in his Shinmen acupoint into a dark bead. He cultivated his physical body to the arcane body realm in one fell swoop. His physical body's strength reached 450 million, and his physical body's defense reached the level of a middle-grade sacred artifact. After burning the primordial blood, his physical body's defense reached the level of a high-grade sacred artifact, which was stronger than an ordinary high-grade sacred beast. After the transformation of his physical body, Yi Chunfeng did not rest. He consumed the supreme-grade sacred pill and tried to cultivate the strength of a one-star Tao saint to the extreme. The supreme-grade sacred pill melted in Yi Qianfeng's body and immediately released a vast amount of medicinal power. It rampaged through his meridians, destroying his physical body and internal organs. However, after cultivating his physical body to the arcane body realm, Yi Qianfeng's physical body was too strong. Coupled with the chaos divine wood in his heart meridian, he easily suppressed the majestic medicinal power in his body. He circulated the soul-devouring art and quickly refined it, increasing his strength. Time flew by, and a month passed in the blink of an eye. After more than a month of refining, Yi Qianfeng had completely absorbed the supreme-grade sacred pill. While stabilizing his realm, his strength had almost reached the limit of a 6-star Tao saint. The supreme-grade sacred pill is indeed powerful. Just one pill is enough to fill my body to the brim with Tao energy. Yi Qianfeng exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. He took out the supreme-grade sacred pill and swallowed it directly. He used the powerful medicinal power of the supreme-grade sacred pill to continue increasing his strength in preparation for the final test. The medicinal power of the supreme-grade sacred pill was very special. It had a high chance of allowing a 6-star Tao saint to break through to the 1-star Tao saint realm. The bottleneck of my realm is loosening. Not long after Yi Qianfeng consumed the supreme-grade sacred pill, he unexpectedly found that the bottleneck of his realm was loosening. This made him overjoyed. He circulated the soul-devouring art and increased the speed of refining the supreme-grade sacred pill. He continued to break through the bottleneck and increase his strength. Ka. After another day or so, cracks appeared on the loosened bottleneck of the realm. A purer and more powerful Taoist power seeped through the cracks bit by bit, allowing Yi Qianfeng to touch the realm of 1-star Tao Master. As more and more cracks appeared on the bottleneck, Yi Qianfeng's strength increased tremendously. When he felt that he was about to break through to the 1-star Tao Saint realm, he suddenly stopped cultivating. He used the Chaos Divine Wood to forcibly seal the remaining medicinal power of the supreme-grade sacred pill. If he broke through to the 1-star Tao Saint realm, the strength of his triple mirror image would reach that of a 4-star Tao Master. By then, he would have no chance. Therefore, now was the best time for him to challenge his triple mirror image. It's time to challenge the final test of my triple mirror image. Yi Qianfeng took a deep breath and broke through to the triple holy light realm to challenge the final test. Remember the website address. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 1519. Are you sure you want to challenge the triple mirror image? If you fail, you will be killed by the mirror image, and everything you have will be in vain. When Yi Qianfeng entered the triple holy light realm, the old voice sounded in Yi Qianfeng's ears and reminded him seriously. This junior has already decided. I will not back down. Yi Qianfeng took a deep breath and said resolutely. Well, I hope you can succeed. After saying that, the old voice disappeared. A crisscrossing light shadow appeared in the space of the holy light realm. A skinny man wearing a golden mask appeared in front of Yi Qianfeng. He held 2 7-star longswords in his hands, and his body emitted a strong sword intent. What a terrible sword essence! This person's understanding of sword principle is probably better than mine. Yi Qianfeng looked dignified. He found that the triple mirror image was not only a 3-star Tao Master, but also a master of sword principle. Buzz! Suddenly, a pair of eyes as sharp as swords shot out from the golden mask. The golden masked man was holding 2 7-star long swords of extraordinary quality. With a powerful sword intent intertwined, he attacked Yi Qianfeng. So fast! Seeing the golden masked man appear in front of him in the blink of an eye, Yi Qianfeng instinctively stepped on the sword to dodge. However, the golden masked man's attack speed was too fast. The space-cutting ship directly blocked Yi Qianfeng's escape space, leaving him nowhere to dodge. He could only take the attack head-on. Sizzle! Two harsh tearing sounds were heard. Yi Chunfeng was sent flying by the golden-masked man's two swords. Two deep sword wounds were left on his body, which was comparable to a middle-grade holy treasure. White bones were exposed, and a large amount of blood flowed uncontrollably. After injuring Yi Chunfeng, the golden-masked man rolled up endless sword wind and continued to attack Yi Chunfeng fiercely, not giving him any chance to breathe. Hongmeng bloodline burn, triple transformation of holy fire. Seeing how terrifying the golden-masked man was, Yi Chunfeng immediately burned his bloodline and raised his strength to the peak of two-star Tao Master with the help of the triple holy fire, which was enough to defeat the golden-masked man. Pung pung pung. A series of concentrated sounds of swords exploding rang out. Yi Chunfeng used his rapidly increased strength to block the gold-masked man's attacks, but he was still forced back by the astonishing airships. Amazing! The battle prowess of these three mirror images is indeed terrifying. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and suppressed the boiling blood in his clan. He quickly formed a seal with his hands and prepared to use the heaven and earth astral seal that he had just comprehended to fight against the gold-masked man. The golden-masked man thrust his sword forward, and a sword light that was more dazzling than the sun appeared in the void. It cut open the space and stabbed towards Yi Chunfeng's chest. Heaven and Earth Star Seal. The God-Eater brain was able to deduce the attack trajectory of this sword. The three spirit-level Tao diagrams and the power of more than one. 3 billion kilograms quickly gathered together, transforming into a giant palm imprint that contained heaven, earth, sun, and moon. It shattered the warship and forced the golden-masked man back. Heaven and Earth Astral Seal, I didn't expect you to master this move so quickly. Looking at the space that Heaven and Earth Star was sinking deeper and deeper, the gold-masked man, who had suffered a slight loss and was slightly injured, revealed a look of surprise and bewilderment. Next, it's my turn to attack. Yi Chunfeng didn't blindly use the life-soul technique to continue burning his life force to increase his strength. Instead, he summoned the Silver Sword Soul and attacked the gold-masked man. Although the Silver Sword Soul is strong, it's not much of a threat to me. The gold-masked man snorted coldly as he wielded the two seven-star swords to meet the attack. He continuously slashed at the Silver Sword Soul. Time acceleration. At this moment, Yi Chunfeng suddenly increased the flow of time by 2 times and instantly appeared in front of the gold-masked man. He unleashed a strength of more than 3 billion kilograms and struck the gold-masked man's chest. When Yi Chunfeng's fist struck the 7-star swords in front of the gold-masked man's chest, a terrifying strength erupted like an erupting volcano. It ruthlessly bombarded the gold-masked man's body and forced him to take 3 steps back. My battle prowess is inferior to yours, but my strength far surpasses yours. After forcing the gold-masked man back with a punch, Yi Chunfeng took advantage of the victory to pursue. As he used time acceleration, he unleashed a strength of more than 3 billion kilograms to continuously shake the gold-masked man. He wanted to use his own strength to suppress the gold-masked man's attack. However, the golden-masked man's strength was too terrifying. He had evolved his swordsmanship to the extreme. Warships of the way split from his body, like a blooming sword lotus, tearing through space, not giving Yi Chunfeng a chance to get close. Heaven and Earth Astral Seal. Without lowering his body, Yi Chunfeng exerted a little force with his right foot and flew into the air. He controlled the 3 spirit-level Tao diagrams and 3 billion kilograms of strength to gather in front of him, transforming into a terrifying palm print that collapsed a large area of space and fell towards the gold-masked man. Boom! Under the destructive attack of the Heaven and Earth Astral Seal, the sword lotus formed by the gold-masked man shattered. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng split into 2 mirror avatars that attacked him from both sides. When the gold-masked man cleaved apart the mirror avatars with his sword, Yi Chunfeng used time acceleration to close in once more. Using his body that was comparable to a high-grade sacred artifact as a weapon, he ruthlessly slammed into the gold-masked man's chest. Although the gold-masked man reacted extremely quickly and held the 7-star dual swords across his chest to forcefully block Yi Qinfeng's fierce attack, the explosive strength in Yi Qinfeng's body still forced him back 3 steps. When the gold-masked man forcefully stabilized his body, Yi Qinfeng exerted strength in his legs once more. Like an unshakable mountain, he once again slammed into the gold-masked man and forced him back. As Yi Qinfeng used his body as a weapon at all costs, exploding with shocking strength to continuously shake the gold-masked man, the silver sword soul attacked the gold-masked man continuously under the attack of his will, scattering his energy and worsening his injuries. Dimension Slash. Although his offensive was suppressed, the gold-masked man did not panic. When he transformed into Sword Principle to forcefully block Yi Qinfeng's body, he suddenly merged with the 7-star dual swords and slashed out a sword slash that was dozens of feet high. It tore the space apart and was several times brighter than light. The sword slash sent Yi Qinfeng flying and almost shattered his body that was comparable to a high-grade sacred artifact. It's over. After severely injuring Yi Qinfeng with one sword slash, the gold-masked man continued to use Dimension Slash to attack Yi Qinfeng. He wanted to take advantage of his serious injury to kill him. At this critical moment, Yi Qinfeng did not use his life soul skill. Instead, he made a bold move to fight to the death. 1-star Dao Master Breakthrough. Yi Qinfeng's Taoist power soared and instantly broke through the bottleneck to the 1-star Dao Master realm. His strength soared more than 10 times, and his physical strength increased again, surpassing 1.5 billion. The gold-masked man immediately sensed that Yi Qinfeng's realm had broken through, and his own realm had also increased. However, at the moment when the gold-masked man's strength increased, Yi Qinfeng used heavenly and earthly stars at close range. The extremely soaring strength broke through the gold-masked man's Dimension Slash and heavily bombarded his body. The power of the true spirit holy skill blasted him into the air, and his entire body was shattered. The next moment, the silver sword soul flew up. Before the gold-masked man could increase his realm, it seized the opportunity to break his defense and cut open his head with a sword. Remember the website. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 1520. Junior, you're really good. You thought of this way to defeat the 3 mirror images. When Yi Qinfeng's final attack shattered the heads of the 3 mirror images, a large amount of light and shadows appeared in the 3 holy light mirrors. They gathered to form a tall and straight man with eyes that seemed to contain the sun, moon, and stars. Net, Senior, you must be the father of the spiritual fish. Although the man in front of him was only an image, when Yi Qinfeng saw him, he felt his heart tremble and guessed his identity. Yes, I am the father of the spiritual fish, the Lord of the North Sea. The Lord of the North Sea nodded and said, Junior, thank you for taking care of the spiritual fish. This green phoenix sacred bow is for you. With that, an ancient bow inlaid with 2 green phoenixes, with a large number of ancient patterns on the surface, exuding a vigorous aura, appeared in the holy light mirror and floated to Yi Qinfeng. What a terrifying aura! Senior, this green phoenix sacred bow is a true spirit saint treasure. The moment Yi Qinfeng held the green phoenix sacred bow, he clearly felt the terror of the green phoenix sacred bow. He had no doubt that the level of this green phoenix sacred bow was definitely beyond the level of a best-grade saint treasure, reaching the level of a true spirit saint weapon. Yes, this green phoenix sacred bow is a treasure that I likes very much. It has reached the level of a middle-grade true spirit saint weapon. If you can use its power with your strength, you can easily kill people above your level. The Lord of the North Sea nodded and introduced in detail. Senior, thank you for the treasure. Knowing the level and power of the green phoenix sacred bow, Yi Qinfeng was overjoyed and said gratefully, No, I'm the one who should say thank you. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid we wouldn't have a day to see each other. The Lord of the North Sea shook his head and said, "By the way, Junior, I have one more thing to tell you. I'm going to send the spiritual fish, Fire Qilin, and Shifeng to the extraterritorial battlefield in a period of time. They can no longer be by your side." "Senior, you're still alive?" Yi Chunfeng raised his eyebrows, revealing a hint of surprise. Being able to tear open the space and send the spiritual fish, Fire Qilin, and the others directly to the heaven domain was enough to prove that the Lord of the Dark North was still alive. Otherwise, after so many years, it was impossible for him to leave behind such a heaven-defying backup plan. "Yes, I'm not dead. I'm still alive." The Lord of the Dark North nodded and said, "The situation back then was a situation of certain death, but I was lucky enough to meet a senior master who saved me." "Senior, was it Senior Tai who saved you?" Yi Chunfeng suddenly thought of the owner of the God-Eater brain and asked tentatively, "Junior, who are you?" Hearing Yi Chunfeng mention Tai, the Lord of the Dark North's calm face revealed a look of surprise. His deep eyes were like the reflection of thousands of daos, bursting with endless light, locking onto Yi Chunfeng as if wanting to see through him. "I'm just a junior who obtained one of Senior Tai's treasures by chance." Seeing the Lord of the Dark North's loss of composure, Yi Chunfeng guessed that the person who saved him was Tai, and this Tai was also the most terrifying existence hidden in the soul-fighting continent that his father said. "I know who you are. I heard Senior Tai mention you before." The Lord of the Dark North suddenly smiled and said, "Well, for the sake of Senior Tai, I'll give you another opportunity." With that, the Lord of the Dark North suddenly shattered the 3 layers of the Holy Light Realm and used a great magical power to refine them, turning them into 3 pure energy light balls that hung in midair. "Junior, these 3 spirits of the Dark North are for you. Refine them, and your strength will continue to improve. This is also my way of repaying Senior Tai's kindness." After forcibly refining the 3 layers of the Holy Light Realm, the Lord of the Dark North's soul shadow became extremely weak and said slowly, "Senior, before Lingyu and the others ascend to the celestial realm, can I see them again?" Yi Chunfeng asked. "All good things must come to an end. There's no need to see them again." The Lord of the Dark North shook his head and said, "When you ascend to the celestial realm one day, I think you will meet again one day. Well, Junior, you can cultivate well here. When you refine these 3 spirits of the Dark North, you can leave." The Lord of the Dark North said, "Okay." Yi Chunfeng didn't insist. Based on the Lord of the Dark North's attitude, he guessed that Lingyu was going to inherit his inheritance. He also didn't ask the Lord of the Dark North to solve the trouble outside because he was afraid that the Lord of the Dark North would take action and let the celestial race capture some information about the Lord of the Dark North, which would cause more trouble. "Junior, goodbye. I think we will meet again one day." With that, the Lord of the Dark North's soul shadow turned into nothingness and disappeared in front of Yi Chunfeng. Whoosh! After the Lord of the Dark North disappeared, Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and silently adjusted his state. When he completely recovered from his injuries and adjusted his state to the best, he opened his mouth and swallowed a longan-sized spirit of the Dark North into his stomach. Then, he operated the soul-devouring skill to quickly refine it. Boom! The spirit of the Dark North melted and immediately released a majestic energy. Like a tide bursting through a dam, it pushed Yi Chunfeng's body open and rushed through his crisscrossing meridians. "Chaos Divine Wood, suppress it!" Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and endured the pain in his body. He controlled the Chaos Divine Wood to suppress the gushing energy and began to refine it. This spirit of the Dark North is really powerful. If I refine these 3 spirits of the Dark North, I will have a chance to cultivate to the peak of the 2-star Tao Master Realm. Yi Chunfeng knew how difficult it was to cultivate to the Tao Master Realm. For example, Celestial Master Di Xian had cultivated for hundreds of thousands of years, but was still stuck at the peak of the 1-star Tao Master Realm. However, the 3 spirits of the dark north that the Lord of the Dark North left for him were too powerful. The energy contained in them definitely surpassed that of the supreme sacred elixir. They were constantly transforming his body and increasing his strength. About half a month passed. Yi Chunfeng, who endured the severe pain, finally refined one spirit of the dark north. He had just broken through the realm and reached the peak of the 1-star Tao Master realm. Then, he swallowed a second spirit of the dark north and tried to break through to the 2-star Tao Master realm. He had a feeling that if he could break through to the 2-star Tao Master realm, he might have a chance to break the seal in Emoba's body. At that time, Emoba would have a 6-star realm and would have a chance to kill Celestial Master Mou. When Yi Chunfeng was refining the spirit of the dark north, the spiritual fish and fire Kylan were also improving their strength. At this time, the spiritual fish had improved a lot and reached the 2-star Tao Master realm. Fire Kylan also faintly reached the limit of evolving into a heaven-level holy beast. If Fire Kylan could evolve into a heaven-level holy beast, it would have the strength of a 6-star demon master, which was enough to fight against the dangers of the extraterritorial war. Time flew. Soon, another half a month passed. During this month, Yi Chunfeng broke through the bottleneck of the realm with the help of the majestic energy of the spirit of the dark north and reached the 2-star Tao Master realm. At the same time, his strength soared more than 10 times. His physical strength also improved again and reached 600 million kilograms. I finally broke through to the 2-star Tao Master realm. The instant Yi Chunfeng's cultivation broke through, he opened his deep eyes. His face revealed a look of pleasant surprise. He did not expect to break through so quickly. This also laid the most solid foundation for him to ascend to the heaven realm. Spirit of the Dark North, refine. Yi Chunfeng spent several days consolidating the 2-star Tao Master realm. Then, he swallowed the 3rd spirit of the Dark North and continued to refine it to improve his strength. Finally, under Yi Chunfeng's continuous refining, he completely refined the 3 spirits of the North Sea and cultivated his strength to the peak of the 2-star Tao Master realm. Remember the website address. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 1521. Demon Ba, come out. After consolidating his peak 2-star Tao Master realm, Yi Chunfeng summoned Demon Ba. Seal break. Then, Yi Chunfeng injected his powerful Tao power into Demon Ba's body, forcibly breaking the seal in Demon Ba's body. Under Yi Chunfeng's continuous release of Tao power, the seal in Demon Ba's body became more and more loose, and cracks slowly appeared. Demon Ba's strength also increased rapidly with the breaking of the first seal, surpassing the 6-star Demon Saint to become a 1-star Demon Master. With Demon Ba's strength increasing, Yi Chunfeng was relieved and continued to release his powerful Tao power to break the first seal in Demon Ba's body. Finally, after 3 days and 3 nights of continuous effort, the first seal in Demon Ba's body was broken. A devil power that made Yi Chunfeng breathless burst out from Demon Ba's body and forced Yi Chunfeng to retreat more than 10 meters. 6-star Demon Master. Feeling Demon Ba's strength of breaking the first seal, Yi Chunfeng smiled with satisfaction. With Demon Ba's current strength, even if he could not kill Celestial Master Mou, he could defeat him. I know that you must be guarding outside and have not left. I will give you a big surprise soon. Yi Chunfeng's eyes shone with a murderous light. After undoing one of the seals in Demon Ba's body, Yi Chunfeng didn't leave the sky beyond heaven immediately. Instead, he took out the jade scroll for the cultivation of the 3-foot sword and controlled the God-Eater brain to enter it. He tried to deduce the mantra of the 3-foot sword and tried to cultivate it. If he could cultivate the 3-foot vast sword cultivation jade slip with a low-grade true spirit sacred artifact, he felt that he could kill a 4-star Tao Master. To cultivate the 3-foot vast sword cultivation jade slip, the lowest level requirement was the Tao Master realm, which showed how terrifying the power of this move was. However, Yi Chunfeng had the primordial blood flowing in his body, so his cultivation foundation was extremely solid. When he had become a one-star Tao master, the Tao power in his body had turned into a dazzling golden color. Its level had far surpassed that of an ordinary Tao master. Now that he had become a two-star Tao master, the golden Tao power in his body had become purer and more powerful. It could completely support the consumption of cultivating the 3-foot boundless sword. There was only one move of the boundless 3-foot sword, but its power was extraordinarily great. With a single slash, it could unleash the Tao diagram and Tao power to the extreme, evolving the boundless Tao and annihilating all living creatures. The difficulty of cultivating this boundless 3-foot sword is indeed not small. Back then, Yi Chunfeng had only used 3 days to cultivate the heaven and earth star seal. However, when he cultivated the boundless 3-foot sword, he was unable to grasp the charm of this move. He controlled the God-Eater brain to deduce again and again. It took him nearly half a month to find a clue. However, there was still a long way to go before he could reach the minor accomplishment stage. However, he was not in a hurry. He controlled the God-Eater brain to deduce continuously. When Yi Chunfeng was cultivating the 3-foot boundless sword in the outer sky, the chaotic war between the 3 nations in the central divine nation had also reached its climax. With the 9 heavens divine nation as the leader, the major powers swept through many cities in the Kirin kingdom and the 8-head divine nation, killing many experts from the 2 divine nations. Even many of the ancient almighties from the 2 divine nations had died at the hands of Heavenly Lord Dimia and Dijiotian. When the 9 heavens divine nation swept through and approached the imperial city of the Kirin kingdom, Heavenly Lord Dimia and Dijiotian both received warnings from the ancient demon lord and demon lord, as well as orders from Heavenly Lord Mou. However, they ignored them and continued to wage war, changing the situation in the central world and surrounding the Kirin kingdom. Heavenly Lord Dimia, does your heaven race want to fight to the death with my monster race and demon lord? An ancient demon lord, who was 6 feet tall and had bulging muscles, glared at Heavenly Lord Dimia and Dijiotian. His voice was as loud as thunder, causing pain in the ears of the 9 heavens divine nations experts. Many weaker battle beast emperors bled from their 7 orifices because of his voice. Humph, this world originally belonged to my heaven race. The era of your monster race and demon lord is over. Heavenly Lord Dimia, who had the power of the heavens flowing around him, snorted coldly and replied domineeringly. Good, good, today our 3 races will fight to the death. The battle was unavoidable, and it completely angered the ancient demon lord and demon lord. They summoned their respective supreme-grade sage treasures and attacked Heavenly Lord Dijiotian and Heavenly Lord Dimia. Kill! While the great monarchs were fighting, the 9 heavens divine nations experts charged toward the Kirin kingdom and fought with the 2 divine nations experts. The terrifying flames of war spread across the entire Kirin kingdom. The impregnable city walls were destroyed, and many famous buildings in the Kirin kingdom were destroyed. The 3 sovereigns experts kept losing their lives in the kingdom war, and their vitality was greatly damaged. Monster Emperor Projection. Seeing the 9 heavens divine nations experts closing in on the Kirin kingdom, the ancient demon lord was enraged. He summoned his greatest trump card, the Monster Emperor Projection, and swore to protect the monster race's inheritance with his life. 9 heavens divine nations disciples, retreat. The instant the ancient demon lord summoned the Monster Emperor Projection, Heavenly Lord Dimia and Dijiotian decisively led the 9 heavens divine nations experts to retreat out of the Kirin kingdom. Seeing the 9 heavens divine nations army suddenly retreating, the ancient demon lord hesitated for a moment. In the end, he suppressed the anger in his heart and gave up on the impulse to use the Kirin kingdom's strongest trump card. 9 heavens divine nation, just you wait. Wait until we recover our vitality, and then we will fight to the death with you. Looking at the messy Kirin kingdom, the ancient demon lord's eyes turned red as he swore to himself. The kingdom war between the three nations had come to an end because the ancient demon lord summoned the monster emperor projection. However, this kingdom war still changed the situation in the central world. With the Nine Heavens divine nation as the leader, the various factions took advantage of the situation and swallowed the Kirin Kingdom and Orohead Kingdom's territories, becoming the absolute overlord of the central world. However, Heavenly Lord Dimia and Dijiotian didn't have a trace of joy on their faces. Other than being wary of the two divine nations' emperor-level projections, they were more worried about Heavenly Lord Mou from the Azure Sky race. This was because Heavenly Lord Dimia could vaguely guess Heavenly Lord Mou's strength. A 6-star Heavenly Lord was enough to wipe out all the factions in the central world. Young Master Yi, did you know that Heavenly Lord Mou has come down? Dijiotian sighed softly in his heart as he was deeply worried. Just as Dijiotian and Heavenly Lord Dimia were worried that Heavenly Lord Mou's arrival would bring new changes to the Duhan continent, Yi Chunfeng patiently cultivated the 3-foot vast sword for more than 3 months and gradually grasped the charm of this move. With a sword in the sky, the 3-foot divine sword slashed down from the sky. The terrifying sword power evolved into the vast Tao and swallowed up a part of the world. The sword carried endless Tao, and it could shatter the sun, moon, and stars. When the sword slashed down, it could destroy everything and destroy everything. Ka ka ka. After receiving the attack of Yi Chunfeng's 3-foot boundless sword, the sturdy spatial wall was torn apart, creating a crack that extended for an unknown length of miles. Under this sword, not to mention a 3-star Tao Master, even a 4-star Tao Master would die. Chapter 1522. It's been 2 years. Why hasn't that human boy come out yet? Did he die in Sky Beyond? Celestial Master Di Xian had been hiding in Sky Beyond for 2 years, but Yi Chunfeng was still nowhere to be seen. This made him a little anxious and he frowned. The inheritance left behind by the Lord of the Dark North is not that easy to obtain. However, the fact that the kid was able to enter the inner space of the outer sky shows that he is related to the Lord of the Dark North. I don't think he will die here. Celestial Master Mou, who was sitting in a bush, said calmly without a trace of panic on his face. In his heart, he hoped that Yi Chunfeng could get the greatest inheritance of the Lord of the Dark North. That way, he could gain more from killing Yi Chunfeng. Celestial Master Mou, now that the central world has been completely disrupted by Dimia and Dijiotian, how should we deal with these two traitors? Celestial Master Di Xian had been paying attention to the changes in the central world. When he found out that the divine race, the demon race, and the demon race had long been at odds with each other, he was extremely annoyed. Don't worry. Let's wait until we get the inheritance of Sky Beyond. Celestial Master Mou said slowly. In his eyes, nothing could compare to Sky Beyond. As long as he could get the inheritance of the Lord of the Dark North, he could definitely break through to the Celestial Emperor realm. When he returned to the Azure Sky Clan, his status would be greatly improved and he would be able to control a small world that belonged to him. Just as Celestial Master Mou and Celestial Master Dimia were waiting patiently, the space at the entrance of Sky Beyond suddenly fluctuated. Endless light shone on the world and a blurry figure walked out of Sky Beyond. It's him. He finally came out. Celestial Master Mou and Celestial Master Dimia's eyes lit up when they saw Yi Chunfeng walk out of Sky Beyond. They quickly restrained their auras and locked onto Yi Chunfeng in 2 areas to prevent him from escaping. After walking out of Sky Beyond, Yi Chunfeng looked into the distance with his deep eyes. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, revealing a cold smile. After reaching the peak of 2-star Tao Master Realm, his soul had become unprecedentedly powerful. Although he could not capture the aura of Celestial Master Mou, he could easily sense the existence of Celestial Master Emperor Destroyer. Brat, when I capture you in a while, Empyrean Ink Feather will let you know how foolish of a decision it is to go against my celestial clan. I guarantee that you won't dare to offend my celestial clan in your next life. Empyrean Di Xian muttered in his heart. In his opinion, with the 6-star Empyrean MOU around, Yi Chunfeng would not be able to escape even if he had wings. Just as he was thinking about how to torture Yi Chunfeng to vent the hatred in his heart, he suddenly felt as if he was being stared at by the most terrifying poisonous snake in the world. A strong sense of unease arose in his heart, and he did not dare to continue hiding. He instinctively wanted to dodge. However, the moment he dodged, a silver sword light cut across the sky and slashed toward him at a speed several times faster than light. This sword contained double the flow of time. It was unimaginably fast. Although Empyrean Di Xian's dodging speed was very fast, his arm was still chopped off by this sword. A large amount of blood spurted out like a fountain. Well, the peak of a 2-star Dao Master. Looking at Yi Chunfeng, who chopped off Empyrean Di Xian's arm, Empyrean Mou sensed his realm and strength. His turbid eyes lit up. It seems that you have obtained a lot of inheritance from the Lord of the Northernmost Sea in outer heaven. Yes, I did obtain the inheritance of the Lord of the Northernmost Sea. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, If you want it, come and get it. Haha, Junior, do you really think that you are the Lord of the Northernmost Sea just because you have obtained the inheritance of the Lord of the Northernmost Sea? Empyrean Mou laughed arrogantly and said, Even if you have broken through to the peak of a 2-star Dao Master, so what? I can crush you as easily as crushing an ant. Really? Yi Chunfeng said with a smile, I'm standing right here. Let's see how you can crush me. Well, I'd like to see what kind of inheritance you obtained in outer heaven that gave you so much confidence that you dare to challenge me. With that, Empyrean Mou's body erupted with an amazing power of heaven. It quickly gathered above his head and turned into a terrifying giant hand print. It tore the void and grabbed at Yi Chunfeng. Demon Ba, come out. Facing this insurmountable gap in strength, Yi Chunfeng did not fight Empyrean Mou head-on. Instead, he summoned Demon Ba, who had one seal removed. Roar! Roar! The ancient bronze coffin sealing Devil Ba flew over at high speed. The terrifying collision force ruthlessly smashed into the sky-covering giant hand, forcibly shattering the sky-covering giant hand that Empyrean Mou condensed. Well, how is that possible? Although Empyrean Mou did not use his full strength in this attack, it was definitely not something that ordinary people could withstand. Looking at the ancient bronze coffin with its lid cracked open, Empyrean Mou smelled a trace of danger in the coffin. Empyrean, how long has it been since I've drunk an Empyrean's blood? Demon Ba let out a savage voice, pushed open the heavy coffin lid, and slowly sat up. Looking at the Empyrean Mou with a solemn expression, he shot out thick killing intent. How is that possible? How did this Demon Ba become so terrifying? Sensing that the fiendish energy emitted by Demon Ba was actually not weaker than his, Empyrean Mou felt deeply uneasy. He did not expect that Yi Chunfeng had such means to actually raise Demon Ba's strength to 6-star Fiend Empyrean, directly endangering him. Roar! While Empyrean Mou was shocked, Demon Ba let out a savage roar. Carrying thick fiendish energy, he flew out of the ancient coffin and attacked Empyrean Mou. Rumble! The two people clashed head-on. The space within a radius of several miles directly collapsed. The terrifying power formed an endless storm, engulfing heaven and earth. Di Xian, can the grudge between us be resolved? When Yi Chunfeng saw that Demon Ba clashed head-on with Empyrean Mou's attack, they were evenly matched. He completely set his mind at ease. Stepping out with a sword step, he turned into an extremely fast sword shadow, appearing in front of the pale-faced Empyrean Di Xian, who had lost his right arm. Blood escape. Facing Yi Chunfeng, whose cultivation realm far surpassed his, Empyrean Di Xian knew that he was already not his match. If he did not escape, he would be hard-pressed to escape this calamity. Burning his powerful blood vitality at all costs, He cast blood escape and fled outside. Can you escape? Yi Qinfeng took a step out, controlling the power of space, forming layers of folded space in front of Empyrean Di Xian, slowing down his escape speed. Following that, 3 great spirit rank Dao diagrams appeared on Yi Qinfeng's body. He deduced the power of Dao intent to the limit, pressing out the heaven and earth star seal, bombarding it at Empyrean Di Xian. A palm seal forming, heaven and earth changed drastically. A giant palm seal that seemed to contain the stars of heaven and earth ruthlessly bombarded the ashen-faced Empyrean Di Xian. Although Empyrean Di Xian instinctively wanted to dodge, the heaven and earth star seal's attack was too terrifying. Several miles of space collapsed, restricting Empyrean Di Xian's speed, making him unable to dodge. Rumble. Chapter 1523. What level is this saint's skill? Seeing Yi Qinfeng use the Heaven-Earth Star seal and kill Celestial Master Di Xian, Celestial Master Mo's heart was in turmoil. He had a feeling that Yi Qinfeng's light seal had surpassed the level of the ultimate saint's skill and reached the level of the true spirit saint's skill. Although Celestial Master Mo was talented and cultivated to the 6-star Celestial Master realm by the Qintian clan, he would never be able to cultivate the true spirit saint's skill until he reached the Heavenly Emperor realm. Therefore, when he saw that Yi Qinfeng seemed to have obtained the true spirit saint's skill from sky beyond sky, his eyes suddenly became fiery. Just as he was distracted, Mo Ba let out a furious roar. Wielding a dragon-patterned broadsword that weighed 1,000,000 kilograms, he slashed at him with a force that could split the heavens. Boom! The dragon-patterned broadsword, which was filled with hundreds of millions of pounds of power and strong devil power, slashed at the ultimate saint weapon star sword above Celestial Master Mo's head. The terrible power pressed Celestial Master Mo's body down by several meters, and his whole arm was seriously numb. Hongmeng blood burn. When Celestial Master Mo was facing Mo Ba's attack, Yi Qinfeng quickly burned his powerful bloodline and summoned the Sacred Eclipse Sword, a low-grade true spirit saint weapon, and approached Celestial Master Mo. Boundless 3-foot sword. Not waiting for Empyrean Mo to launch an attack at him, Yi Qinfeng raised the golden Dao power in his entire body to the limit, summoned the 3 great spirit-level Dao diagrams, and executed the strongest move he currently grasped, attacking Empyrean Mo. With a slash, the 3 spirit-level Dao diagrams and the golden Taoist power burst out instantly. The terrible Taoist will merged with the silver sword soul and turned into a 3-foot sword that evolved the great Dao. It tore the space and slashed at Celestial Master Mo. What? Celestial Master Mo did not expect that Yi Qinfeng, who was at the peak of the 2-star Dao Master realm, could use such a powerful move. His left hand quickly evolved the great Dao of heaven and earth, mobilizing the billowing power of heaven to gather and form a spatial vortex to resist the boundless 3-foot sword. Crack! Crack! When the 3-foot boundless sword struck the spatial whirlpool in front of Empyrean Mo, it trembled violently. The terrifying power of Dao intent constantly shook the spatial whirlpool, causing some trouble for Empyrean Mo. Just as Empyrean Mo relied on his absolute strength to forcibly break Yi Qinfeng's 3-foot boundless sword, Mo Ba wielded the dragon-patterned broadsword and chopped downwards, chopping towards Empyrean Mo who was unable to dodge. The astonishing power that erupted in an instant directly chopped him down from mid-air, smashing a bottomless pit in the ground. Damn it! The fact that Celestial Lord Mo could be sent by the Cyan Sky clan to the lower worlds to take charge of the overall situation was enough to show that the Cyan Sky clan valued him highly and affirmed his strength. However, he never expected that he would be injured by someone in the lower world. This made him feel extraordinary shame and humiliation. He summoned the 3 supreme holy treasures and suspended them above his head, preparing to start a massacre. Demon Ba, receive the Green Luan sacred bow. When the furious Empyrean Mo summoned the three supreme holy treasures, Yi Chenfeng summoned the middle-grade true spirit holy treasure, the green Luan sacred bow, and handed it to Demon Ba. True spirit holy treasure. Feeling the destructive aura emitted by the green Luan sacred bow, Empyrean Mo opened his eyes wide, a strong uneasiness arising in his heart. His strength was originally on par with Demon Ba. If Demon Ba grasped another true spirit holy treasure, then he would really be in danger. Roar! Roar! Holding the green Luan sacred bow, Demon Ba let out a savage roar. He poured all the fiendish power in his body into the green Luan sacred bow and pulled the sacred bow bit by bit. And the instant the green Luan sacred bow was pulled by Demon Ba, the two Luans on the bow seemed to have come alive. They opened their sharp mouths and swallowed the power of heaven and earth, turning into a seemingly substantial light arrow, locking onto Empyrean Mo whose expression changed slightly. "Didn't you want to kill me? Why don't you dare to come over?" Looking at the solemn-faced Empyrean Mo who did not dare to approach, Yi Chenfeng revealed a trace of an ice-cold smile and shouted loudly. "Junior, do you really think that you can influence the overall situation by grasping a true spirit holy artifact? Offending my Azure Sky clan, you're dead for sure." Empyrean Mo said with an ugly expression. Although Empyrean Mo's tone was unyielding, the threat of the green Luan sacred bow was too great, making him not dare to rashly approach. "Sai, where's your domineering attitude just now? Why are you running your mouth now? Could it be that your Azure Sky clan are all this kind of embroidered pillows that are impressive-looking but useless?" Yi Chenfeng mocked without holding back. "Human brat, the terror of my Azure Sky clan is not what you can imagine. I advise you to choose to submit. Otherwise, you will not be able to escape death." Empyrean Mo said with a livid expression. "Sai, was your head kicked by a donkey?" Yi Chenfeng sighed lightly and said with a cold smile, "Otherwise, how can you say such foolish words? Forget it, I'll also give you a chance. Obediently kneel down and kowtow to me 3 times. Maybe if I'm in a good mood, I can leave you with an intact corpse." Yi Chenfeng mocked him without holding back. Being mercilessly humiliated by a junior made Empyrean Mo go crazy. His heart burned with a raging fury. He faintly could not control himself and thought of a plan to kill Yi Chenfeng. Whoosh! An ear-piercing sound rang out. The infuriated Empyrean ink feather moved, attacking Yi Chenfeng with astonishing speed. The moment Empyrean Mo attacked, Mo Ba shot out an arrow of light that twisted the power of heaven and earth, shooting towards Empyrean Mo like extreme break. The green Luan sacred bow was a mid-grade true spirit holy artifact. The speed of the arrow of light was unimaginable, making Empyrean Mo feel powerless to dodge. However, Empyrean Mo had cultivated in the heaven domain for hundreds of thousands of years, and also grasped many powerful life-saving trump cards. 3 turtle shell-shaped array discs floated out of his body and rapidly condensed into an ancient array, forcibly slowing down the attack speed of the green Luan light arrow. Seizing this momentary opportunity, Empyrean Mo's speed soared once more, launching a sure-kill attack at Yi Chenfeng. He wanted to kill him with all his might and seize everything on him. "Smile, he's smiling at me." When Empyrean Mo shot out the top-grade holy artifact, Point Star Sword, he unexpectedly discovered that not only did Yi Chenfeng not reveal a look of panic, he was smiling at him instead. The next instant Yi Chenfeng strangely disappeared before his eyes, making Point Star Sword's sure-kill attack miss. While Empyrean Mo was absent-minded, Mo Ba forcefully pulled the green Luan's sacred bow and shot out a second arrow. At the same time the second arrow was shot out, the first green Luan light arrow pierced through the ancient array and shot towards Empyrean Mo at the same time, making him unable to dodge and could only rely on his trump card to carry out defense. Bang! 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 The defensive trump cards that Empyrean Mo continuously summoned were pierced by the 2 green Luan light arrows. The 3 great top-grade holy treasures in front of him were also cracked by the green Luan light arrows and blasted away. At the critical moment, a protective talisman with winding ancient patterns appeared on Empyrean Mou's body, turning into an ancient shield, barely blocking the attack of the 2 green Luan light arrows. Human brat, this Empyrean will let you live for a few more days. Properly cherish this remaining time. Having experienced the terror of the green Luan light arrows, Empyrean Mou, who had lost his life-saving talisman, left behind a ruthless sentence and fled from beyond the sky in a somewhat sorry state, disappearing from ancient heaven Immortal Mountain. Chapter 1524. Junior, you're even more outstanding than I imagined. However, this world is sealed by the Green Sky Clan. With the help of the powerful inter-realm transmission formation, the Green Sky Clan can continuously send celestial masters to the mortal world. If they are willing to pay a higher price, even celestial emperors can come to the mortal world. So, you still have to prepare well. If you can't, come to the mysterious sea. When Empyrean Mou was fleeing in a sorry state, the Lord of the Dark North's voice suddenly sounded in Yi Qinfeng's ears. Net, the Sea of Mystery. Yi Qinfeng's heart skipped a beat. Senior, you're at the Sea of Mystery? Remember, the Sea of Mystery is your last resort. If you are in a life-or-death situation, you can come here for protection. The Lord of the North Sea didn't reveal any more information to Yi Qinfeng. By the way, I've already raised the strength of the spiritual fish and the fire Qilin to the extreme. I'll send them to the extraterritorial battlefield in the Qian realm today. As long as you can ascend to the Qian realm, you'll meet again one day. With that, the Lord of the Dark North's voice disappeared. Knowing that the spiritual fish was about to ascend, Yi Qinfeng did not leave immediately. Instead, he waited patiently in heavens beyond. About a day later, a terrifying energy gushed out of the human realm beyond the sky. It pierced the sky and tore apart the seal of the Green Sky Clan. At the same time, a terrifying energy pillar rose up from the Empyrean region, sending Ming Shifang back to the Heaven region. Green Sky Clan, just let the powerful figures of the Qingyun realm descend. I'll wait for them. Yi Qinfeng watched as the spiritual fish ascended to the Heaven region. He didn't stay in heavens beyond for long. He summoned his sword wings and disappeared from the ancient Heaven Celestial Mountain. Although the Lord of the Northernmost Sea had given Yi Qinfeng a way out, Yi Wuji had left him an important pawn. With this pawn, he could deal with the threat of the Green Sky Clan. Lightning Region, Memory Zhou City. Because of their relationship with Yi Qinfeng, the Thunder Clan took good care of the Zhou Clan. In addition to the marriage alliance between the Zhou Clan and the Nangong Clan, the Zhou Clan suddenly rose to power. Memory Zhou City was several times larger than before, attracting a large number of rogue cultivators to join them. Heavenly Thunder Sword Palm. A tender voice rang out from a battle arena made of bluestone. A large number of thunderous sounds reverberated in the void. A short young man in a black martial arts suit, who looked like he was only 11 or 12 years old, struck out with the Heavenly Thunder Sword Palm and knocked a burly, bearded man who was a level 2 beast king down from the arena and lost the mat. So powerful! This Zhou Mingzhen is indeed worthy of being called a talent of Yizhou City. Not only did he cultivate to the reverse beast king realm at such a young age, but he also grasped so many Dao skills. His future is limitless. It can't be helped. Who asked him to come from a good family? With such powerful parents, it's hard for him not to be powerful. Looking at the youth with extraordinary strength bathed in the sunlight, there was a lot of discussion below the battle arena. Many people revealed looks of envy, and some revealed feelings of jealousy. Zhou Minghen, he's Tian Yi and Nangong Qingshue's son. A man in a white martial arts suit, tall and straight like a pine tree, with a chiseled face and a trace of heroic spirit, revealed a faint smile as he thought to himself. This white-clothed man was none other than Yi Qinfeng, who had crossed the extremely vast central Great Realm and arrived at Memory Zhou City. He wanted to see if Zhou Tianyi and the others were doing well. Seeing the development of Yizhou City and Zhou Tianyi and Nangong Qingshue's outstanding son, Yi Qinfeng was completely relieved. He had come all the way to the Thunder region to go to the Death Ruins. He wanted to borrow the heart that Yi Wuji had left behind to control the divine demon that was suppressed in the Death Ruins. As long as he could control the divine demon, even if the Azure Sky race sent a Sky Emperor, they would not be a threat to him. Who else wants to challenge me? Zhou Mingzhen held a sharp Taoist sword in his hand and looked around the battle arena as he spoke with high fighting spirit. I'll challenge you. A level 4 reverse beast king with an obvious scar on his face and a long spear in his hand jumped onto the battle arena and started fighting with Zhou Mingzhen. Although Zhou Mingzhen's strength was far inferior to the scarred man's, his weapons and equipment were far superior. In addition, he cultivated a top-tier Taoist formula, which greatly made up for the difference in strength. He was not at a disadvantage in the battle against the scarred man. The two of them fought faster and faster. The scarred man's tide-like attacks constantly stimulated Zhou Mingzhen's potential, allowing him to wield his sword Dao to the extreme. The exciting battle made the audience below the stage exclaim in satisfaction. Not bad, not bad. Tianyi's son is very talented. He might surpass his father in the future. Yi Qinfeng was also full of praise for Zhou Mingzhen. However, Zhou Mingzhen was still a little immature. It was still not enough to defeat the scarred man who was 3 levels above him. As expected, after the two of them fought for half an hour, Zhou Mingzhen's attacks slowed down and he was gradually suppressed by the scarred man. Just as Zhou Mingzhen was about to lose the battle, Yi Qinfeng's mouth moved slightly and he transmitted a message to Zhou Mingzhen, giving him pointers during the battle. Zhou Mingzhen was very talented. Under Yi Qinfeng's guidance, he quickly understood the scarred man's weakness and counterattacked passively. Chi. There was the sound of air being torn apart. Zhou Mingzhen took advantage of the scarred man's weakness and tore through his defense, sending him flying out of the battle arena and out of the battle arena. Huff, huff, I won. Looking at the scarred man who was clutching his bleeding chest and falling out of the battle arena, the slightly pale Zhou Mingzhen revealed an excited smile. He hurriedly looked below the stage, wanting to know who had given him pointers at this critical moment. How about we have a battle? At this moment, a light flashed under Yi Qinfeng's feet and he appeared on the battle arena like a bolt of lightning. Looking at the exhausted Zhou Mingzhen, he slowly said, "But I won't take advantage of you. No matter what method you use, as long as your attack can touch me, you win. At that time, I will give you a treasure." Really? Looking at the awe-inspiring Yi Qinfeng, Zhou Mingzhen vaguely guessed that it was him who had given him pointers. His eyes lit up. "I'm not joking," Yi Qinfeng said with a faint smile. "Okay, then you're too kind." Zhou Mingzhen took a pill to recover his exhausted soul power. Holding the Dao artifact longsword, he attacked Yi Qinfeng fiercely. "Your attack speed is not bad, but your accuracy is not enough. Strength. When you attack, you must perfectly fuse your strength and Dao power. Only then will you be able to wield the power of your sword Dao." Yi Qinfeng was like an erratic ghost, dodging back and forth on the battle arena. As he dodged, he constantly sent voice transmissions to Zhou Mingzhen to guide him. Under Yi Qinfeng's guidance, Zhou Mingzhen's comprehension of the sword Dao became deeper and deeper. The power of his attacks also became stronger. But the difference in strength between him and Yi Qinfeng was too great. No matter how much he tried, his attacks could not even touch the corner of Yi Qinfeng's clothes. Just as he was about to collapse and his attack speed slowed down, Yi Qinfeng suddenly stopped dodging. He stretched out 2 arms and caught the Dao sword. "Not bad, you win. This universe ring is for you. Remember to send my regards to your parents." After saying that, Yi Qinfeng's body flashed and disappeared from the battle arena as if he had teleported. He left Yizhou City and headed straight for the Thunder region's greatest danger zone, the Death Ruins. Not long after Yi Qinfeng left, Yizhou City fell into an uproar. However, no matter how Zhou Tianyi and his wife searched the entire Yizhou City, they could not find Yi Qinfeng and returned regretfully. Remember the website. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 1525. The Death Ruins was the most dangerous place in the Thunder Territory. It had existed for countless years, and no one had discovered its secret. However, Yi Qinfeng knew that there was no great opportunity in the Death Ruins. It was just a place where a powerful figure suppressed the celestial demons. So many days have passed. I think another powerful figure from the celestial domain has come to the mortal world. Yi Qinfeng hovered in the air and looked at the Death Ruins, which were shrouded in black fog. He could not see the situation clearly. Without wasting any more time, his figure flashed and flew into the Death Ruins. Woo! After flying into the Death Ruins, Yi Qinfeng's powerful soul immediately felt a large number of dead souls floating toward him, wanting to devour his flesh and blood. However, Yi Qinfeng's strength was not what it used to be. He was at the peak of the two-star Dao Master Realm and could defeat all the experts in the Fighting Soul continent. The dead souls in the Death Ruins were no threat to him. Well, this aura. Yi Qinfeng was like a hot knife through butter. While he was flying through the Dead Ruins, his powerful soul sensed a familiar aura in front of him. He raised his eyebrows in surprise. It's her. Yi Qinfeng did not expect to meet Duan Intestine in the Death Ruins. Although he did not want to waste too much time, Duan Intestine was in trouble and he had to delay to rescue her. Screech! Creepy cries of ghosts rang out one after another. Two corpse kings, who were wrapped in chains as thick as a child's arm and full of death energy, held two dark red spears and attacked Duan Intestine constantly. Although Duan Intestine was powerful, her strength was obviously suppressed in the Death Ruins. In addition, the two corpse kings were very ferocious. They ignored Duan Intestine's attacks and created a lot of trouble for her. Furthermore, one of her arms had been slashed by a corpse king, and she had been poisoned. Damn it! Duan Intestine felt that she could not suppress the corpse poison. She gritted her teeth and quickly broke out of the encirclement. She wanted to rely on her speed to get rid of the two terrifying corpse kings. However, when she broke out of the encirclement, her heart suddenly fell to the bottom. She saw a cloud of black fog behind her, and it turned out to be tens of thousands of corpse worms. With Duan Cheng's current physical condition, he would be in an even more dangerous situation if he was trapped in the corpse worm swarm. She had no choice but to change her plan. However, the attacks of the two corpse kings were too terrifying. The chains wrapped around their bodies suddenly sealed the space, sealing off Duan Cheng's escape route. This made her heart fall to the bottom. Heartbreak, do you need any help? At this time, a playful voice suddenly entered Duan Cheng's ears, causing her to be startled. It's you. Duan Cheng turned his head and was surprised to find that Yi Qinfeng had appeared beside the corpse bugs. The corpse bugs didn't seem to have noticed him and didn't attack him. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and help. A faint smile appeared on Duan Cheng's pale face as he shouted at Yi Qinfeng. Is this the attitude of asking for help? Yi Qinfeng smiled and said, I can save you, but you have to beg me. All right, as long as you save me, I can agree to any of your conditions. Broken Intestine did his best to resist the two corpse king's savage attacks, his charming voice causing people's imaginations to run wild. You said it yourself. Yi Qinfeng smiled faintly. As if he teleported, he shattered the chains that sealed the space and appeared beside Duan Cheng. Roar! Seeing Yi Qinfeng appear, the two corpse kings let out a savage roar and attacked Yi Qinfeng with their spears. Scram! Yi Qinfeng suddenly took a step forward. The terrifying Dao power was like two majestic mountains as it fiercely bombarded the two corpse kings' bodies. It directly sent their strong bodies flying and turned into two clouds of blood mist in the air, killing them on the spot. Buzz! When Yi Qinfeng killed the two corpse kings, tens of thousands of corpse bugs flew over. The deafening buzzing sound pierced his eardrums, causing him to feel extremely uncomfortable. Heaven-burning sacred flame, extinguish! Yi Chunfeng opened his mouth and spat out a ball of scorching heaven-burning sacred flame, instantly melting the approaching corpse bugs. Yi Chunfeng, what realm have you reached now? Seeing Yi Chunfeng effortlessly killing the corpse kings and incinerating the corpse bugs, Duan Chang was shocked by his amazing strength and asked in astonishment. I have surpassed the limit of the Duhan continent. Yi Chunfeng smiled faintly and said vaguely. The rumors are true. You have the elixir to break the shackles of this world. Duan Chang's eyes suddenly lit up. His gaze towards Yi Chunfeng became fiery. Hey, don't look at me like that. I can't bear it. Looking at Duan Chang's charming eyes, Yi Chunfeng smiled and said, Yi Chunfeng, can you give me an elixir to break the shackles of this world? Duan Chang said charmingly, I am willing to pay any price in exchange. Any price? Yi Chunfeng smiled and said, You seem to owe me a promise just now. Yi Chunfeng, I don't know if you are interested in Lazy Sheen? If you give me an elixir to break the shackles of this world, I will help you tie Lazy Sheen to your bed. Duan Chang said temptingly, Not everyone can enjoy the number one beauty of the lightning region. Forget it. Zixin and I are friends. I don't have any improper thoughts. Yi Chunfeng smiled bitterly. He didn't expect Duan Chang to use Lei Zixin's body to make a deal with him. Why? Are you interested in me? Duan Chang gently brushed the long hair hanging in front of her chest and said, All right, as long as you say it, I am yours today. Big sister, can you speak properly? Yi Chunfeng was speechless. Since you dared to enter the Death Ruins alone, you should have the map of the Death Ruins. As long as you give me the map and promise me one thing, I will write off the favor of saving you. I will also give you a heavenly sacred breaking elixir. Really? Duan Chang said ecstatically. She quickly took out a map of the Death Ruins from her Qian Kuan ring and gave it to Yi Chunfeng. Yi Chunfeng quickly browsed through the map of the Death Ruins and kept it in his Qian Kuan ring. Help me bring 2 elixirs to Lei Zixin and her brother. If you can do it, I will give you the heavenly sacred breaking elixir. You said you are not interested in Lei Zixin. Duan Chang said charmingly and made a vow to the heavenly way in front of everyone. This heavenly sacred breaking elixir is for you. If you can cultivate to the limit of the Nirvana heavenly realm one day, take this heavenly sacred breaking elixir and you will have a high chance of breaking through to the 4-star Tao Master realm. Yi Chunfeng gave Duan Chang a heavenly sacred breaking elixir and gave her a Qian Kuan ring, asking her to bring it to Lei Zixin and her brother. Yi Chunfeng, did you come back this time to explore the secret of the Death Ruins? Duan Chang was also very interested in the Death Ruins. If she could follow Yi Chunfeng, she had a feeling that she might be able to unlock the secret of the Death Ruins. Yes, I came back this time for the Death Ruins. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, How about taking me with you? Let's explore the secret of the Death Ruins hand in hand. Duan Chang blinked her big eyes and looked at Yi Chunfeng expectantly. Forget it. You are too weak. I don't want to bring a burden with me. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and refused. Press and hold for 3 seconds to copy. Chapter 1526. Rumble, a sound that tore through the firmament resounded in the void, and the ripples set off endless wind and waves in crimson flame sky. Unimaginable spatial cracks ruptured in the Heaven Domain Gate, and the trembling Heaven Domain Gate seemed like it could shatter at any time. Buzz, buzz, buzz. While Crimson Flame Heaven was in a state of chaos, many of the Central World's experts who had entered Crimson Flame Heaven and transformed into Nirvana Realm experts fled in panic. Beams of teleportation power that penetrated the world's surface burst out of the crack in the Heaven Domain Gate and appeared in Crimson Flame Heaven. The teleportation force that pierced through the realm disappeared, and 6 people with terrifying auras, 5 men and 1 woman, appeared in front of Empyrean Mou who had been waiting for a long time. Looking at the leader, a man in a white robe with slightly white hair, who looked to be around 40 years old and had a simple beard, Empyrean Mou's heart trembled. He immediately went forward and bowed respectfully. Heavenly Emperor Howling Wind, I didn't expect the Patriarch to actually send you to the lower realms to preside over the situation. Heavenly Emperor Howling Wind, one of the peerless geniuses of the Azure Sky Clan, cultivated to the 2-star Heavenly Emperor realm for thousands of years, and was deeply favored by the Azure Sky Clan Patriarch. If he could cultivate to the 6-star Heavenly Emperor realm within 10,000 years, then he would become one of the successors of the Azure Sky Clan's Patriarch. Although the chance of inheriting was slim, it was enough to see his status in the Azure Sky Clan. Mou, let me ask you, why did you tell the clan about someone breaking into Heavens Beyond so late? Do you admit your crime? Heavenly Emperor Howling Wind revealed a terrifying pressure between his brows as he questioned loudly. Mou is guilty, guilty. Feeling the terrifying aura emitted by Heavenly Emperor Howling Wind, Empyrean Mou's heart trembled. He did not dare to quibble and said in fear, I know you have selfish motives, but do you think that with your 6-star Heavenly Emperor realm, you can break the Lord of the Dark North's restriction, or do you think that the Lord of the Dark North's backup plan can't do anything to you? If the inheritance left behind by the Lord of the Dark North is so easy to break, why would my Azure Sky Clan need to seal this space for countless years? Heavenly Emperor Howling Wind berated loudly. Mou knows his mistake. Heavenly Emperor Howling Wind, please give Mou a chance to make up for his crime. Feeling the pressure emitting off Heavenly Emperor Howl Wind's body become stronger and stronger, Empyrean Darkfeather was somewhat unable to bear it. His body became heavier and heavier, his 2 legs even started trembling. Xiaofeng, Mou is 5th Elder's man after all. This time, we'll give 5th Elder face and spare him. A woman wearing a phoenix-patterned dress, with a graceful and childish figure, exuding an amorous temperament like a peach, came to the side of Heavenly Emperor Howling Wind and said in a soft voice. Heavenly Emperor Hongluan was a 1-star Heavenly Emperor of the Azure Sky Clan. Although her talent and strength were far inferior to Heavenly Emperor Xiaofeng, she was still a famous character of the Azure Sky Clan. Moreover, Heavenly Emperor Hongluan had the bloodline of the sacred beast Hongluan flowing in her body, which made her battle prowess far superior to ordinary heavenly emperors. The Green Sky Clan sent 2 celestial emperors down to the mortal world at all costs, which showed how much they valued the inheritance of the Lord of the North Deep. This time, Heavenly Empress Hongluan is pleading for you, so I will spare you this time. However, if the Lord of the Dark North's inheritance is lost this time, you can wait to return to the Azure Sky Clan and explain to the Patriarch. Heavenly Emperor Xiaofeng warned coldly. Thank you, Heavenly Emperor Xiaofeng, for showing mercy. Thank you, Heavenly Empress Hongluan, for pleading for mercy. Although Empyrean Mou was aggrieved to death, he still had no choice but to lower his head and say gratefully, Mou, let me ask you, are you familiar with the person who obtained the Lord of the Dark North's inheritance? Do you know where he fled to? After intimidating Empyrean Mou, Heavenly Emperor Xiaofeng asked in a low voice with a solemn expression. I don't know much about that human junior, but I know 2 people who should be very familiar with him. Empyrean Mou said respectfully. Who? Heavenly Emperor Xiaofeng said. Di Jiutian, Di Mia. Empyrean Mou said. Di Jiutian? He's still alive? If I didn't remember wrongly, he should be the first divine sovereign who was sent to the mortal world by the old patriarch to establish the 9 heavens' divine kingdom. Heavenly Emperor Xiaofeng revealed a hint of surprise. Could it be that he betrayed my Azure Sky Clan? According to Di Xian, Di Jiutian and Di Mia should have both betrayed my Azure Sky Clan and sided with that human brat. And not long ago, the 9 heavens' divine kingdom launched a kingdom war with the Kirin kingdom and 8-head divine kingdom under their instigation, triggering the demon race and fiend race to be hostile towards us. I think that, if we capture Di Jiotian and Demia, we might be able to force that human brat out, Empyrean Mou said. Come, let's go to the Nine Heavens Imperial Palace. As he said, Heavenly Emperor Xiao Feng lightly waved his arm and directly tore apart Huichitian, bringing Heavenly Emperor Hong Luan and the rest, flying towards the Nine Heavens Imperial Palace as if teleporting. Jiotian, why do I feel a little uneasy? I keep feeling like something big is going to happen. Returning to the Nine Heavens Imperial Palace, Empyrean Demia, who had been waiting for Yi Qinfeng's instructions all along, suddenly became somewhat anxious, looking at Di Jiotian, who had a trace of worry between his brows. Sigh, I have this feeling too. Di Jiotian sighed lightly and said, Demia, do you think we can escape this calamity? I don't know either. Empyrean Demia shook his head and said, I hope young Master Yi still has some heaven-defying trump card to turn the tide. Otherwise, we'll have a hard time. Just as Empyrean Demia and Di Jiotian were feeling anxious, a suffocating force appeared above the Nine Heavens Imperial Palace. Under this aura, the entire Nine Heavens Imperial Palace instantly quieted down. The royal experts, who were so frightened that they prostrated themselves on the ground, looked at the void in horror. Di Jiotian, Demia, why aren't you coming out to see this emperor? A thunderous voice exploded above the Nine Heavens Imperial Palace, the terrifying voice causing the Nine Heavens Imperial Palace to tremble. Heavenly Emperor, the Azure Sky Clan has sent their Heavenly Emperor down. Hearing Empyrean Demia's voice, Di Jiotian and Demia's hearts sank to the bottom. They didn't expect the Azure Sky Clan to place such importance on Realm Beyond Heaven. Not only did they send Empyrean Mou down, but they also sent their Heavenly Emperor Almighties down at all costs. Jiotian, Demia greets Lord Heavenly Emperor. Di Jiotian and Empyrean Demia knew that they couldn't avoid this calamity, so they could only brace themselves and leave the cave abode. Under the horrified gazes of the Nine Heavens Imperial family members, they knelt in the air and bowed respectfully. Di Jiotian, Demia, you too have guts to betray my Azure Sky Clan. Do you know your crimes? Empyrean Demia reprimanded loudly. Lord Heavenly Emperor, please calm down. We didn't want to betray you. We were just controlled by someone. We had no choice. In order to live, Empyrean Demia could only tell the truth and beg Empyrean Demia to spare their lives. Trash. Empyrean Demia ordered coldly. Now, this emperor will give you a chance to live. Tell me where that human brat is. We don't know where he is right now. Empyrean Demia said fearfully, but I can try to contact him. Contact him now. Empyrean Demia ordered. Yes. Empyrean Demia wiped the sweat off his forehead and took out his communication bead to contact Yi Qinfeng. When Empyrean Demia contacted Yi Qinfeng, Empyrean Demia closed his eyes and released a powerful soul force into the communication bead. He wanted to use the communication bead to sense Yi Qinfeng's location. Heavenly Emperor had come down, but Yi Qinfeng, who was deep in the death ruins, didn't know that danger was slowly approaching him. Chapter 1527. The communication bead lit up. According to the map given by Duan Chui, Yi Qinfeng, who was about to enter the death ruins, suddenly realized that his most secret communication bead had lit up. He hesitated for a moment before releasing his soul spirit to permeate it. Young Master Yi, where are you? I need to talk to you. After successfully contacting Yi Qinfeng, Heavenly Lord Emperor Extermination secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He tried to calm himself down and asked softly. Yi Qinfeng frowned slightly as he felt a trace of suspicion. Immediately after, he felt a strange soul-spirit fluctuation in his communication bead. His expression changed slightly as he crushed the communication bead without hesitation. Di Jiotian and Demia are being controlled. Looking at the crushed communication bead in his hand, Yi Qinfeng's face turned gloomy. He was completely sure that the Green Sky race had sent another Almighty to the lower domain. His whereabouts had been exposed. I need to find the place where the God-fiend is being suppressed and subdue it. Otherwise, it will be troublesome. Although Yi Chunfeng wasn't sure of the strength of the Almighty that the Green Sky race had sent to the lower domain, the Almighty that could lock onto him through the communication bead was definitely terrifying. He was probably far stronger than Heavenly Lord Mou. Even if he used the Heavenly Dharch projection, he might not be a match for him. Where is the place where the God-fiend is being suppressed? Yi Chunfeng dismissed the distracting thoughts in his mind and took out the map of the Death Ruins to study. Although the map didn't have detailed markings, Yi Chunfeng still locked onto 3 directions. Through the changes in the suppression power in the Death Ruins, he decided to go to the northwest side of the map, where the mountains were drawn, to take a look. After making the decision, Yi Chunfeng immediately summoned his sword wings and flew over at a speed several times faster than light. Lord Heavenly Dharch, the communication has been cut off. Heavenly Lord Emperor Extermination's throat rolled as he heard the sound of the communication bead being broken. He was afraid that Heavenly Dharch Howling Wind would kill him in a fit of anger. I know where he is. Let's go. Although Heavenly Dharch Howling Wind really wanted to kill Di Jiutian and Heavenly Lord Emperor Extermination, he thought that they were still useful. He decided to capture Yi Chunfeng alive first and obtain the Lord of the Dark North's inheritance before severely punishing Di Jiutian and Heavenly Lord. The pressure in the space is getting stronger and stronger. I think I've found the right place. Yi Chunfeng flapped his sword wings and flew toward the northwest of the Dead Ruins. He felt that the space around him was becoming more and more oppressive. Even though he was at the peak of the 2-star Dao Master level, he was still affected and his realm was suppressed. Well, what's that? Yi Chunfeng tore through the space pressure that was getting stronger and stronger. When he slowly approached the mountains marked on the map of the Dead Ruins, his deep eyes saw 3 gigantic shadows that covered the sky faintly appear in the void that was covered by black fog. Under the giant shadow that covered the sky, there was a space restriction that looked like a canopy. Within the restriction, there was a vacuum area. Even with his sharp eyes, he couldn't see through this vacuum area. Looks like I'm pretty lucky. I've found the right place. Looking at the terrifying scene before him, Yi Chunfeng confirmed that this was a place used to suppress gods and demons. Withstanding the overwhelming spatial pressure, he quickly approached 3 heaven-suppressing monuments. As he approached the rolling black fog that seemed to devour heaven and earth, Yi Chunfeng saw 3 gigantic shadows that covered the sky. They were heaven-suppressing monuments that were hundreds of feet tall. The spatial pressure that filled the Dead Ruins seemed to be released by these 3 heaven-suppressing monuments. Under the influence of the 3 heaven-suppressing monuments, Yi Chunfeng's strength was suppressed again. The golden Taoist power in his body was also greatly affected. He took a deep breath and merged his body with his sword wings, creating a sword shadow that was tens of thousands of feet long. He wanted to rely on his absolute speed to tear open the space restriction and enter the vacuum area to rescue the gods and demons that were suppressed. Boom! Yi Chunfeng was like an invincible divine sword, crashing into the spatial restriction that fell from the sky. The terrifying sword might forcefully tore open cracks in the spatial restriction. Just as Yi Chunfeng wanted to rely on his absolute strength to tear open the spatial restriction, the 3 heaven-suppressing monuments surged with a terrifying suppressive force. It shattered the void and slammed into Yi Chunfeng's body repeatedly. It shattered his body's defenses and directly blasted him to the ground. If it weren't for the fact that the sword wings had reached the level of a supreme sacred treasure, this attack probably would have directly destroyed Yi Chunfeng's body. What a terrifying suppressive force! Yi Chunfeng, with blood at the corner of his mouth, raised his head to look at the 3 heaven-suppressing monuments floating in the sky. He did not attack blindly anymore. Withstanding the suppressive force, he stood up with difficulty and slightly distanced himself from the spatial restriction of the heaven-suppressing monuments. He used the spiritual pearl of life to quickly heal his injuries. After more than 2 hours, Yi Chunfeng had basically recovered from his injuries. He slowly stood up and summoned Mo Ba. He wanted to use Mo Ba's power to forcefully tear open the spatial restriction and enter inside. Mo Ba, when I get close to the spatial restriction, use the Green Phoenix Sacred Bow to attack. Yi Chunfeng handed over the first Absolute Phoenix Sacred Bow to Mo Ba and instructed. Then, he summoned the Sacred Eclipse Sword of Low-Grade True Spirit Sacred Artifact and burned his primordial blood. He once again tried to forcefully tear open the spatial restriction and enter the spatial restriction. Heavenly Fire Triple Transformation. With everything ready, Yi Chunfeng merged with the Sacred Blood Pearl and Heaven-Suppressing Orb. His body burned with the Triple Saint Fire, further increasing his strength. He burst out with 1.8 billion gene of strength and flew towards the impregnable spatial restriction like a hot knife through butter. Boundless 3-foot sword. When Yi Chunfeng tore through the layers of suppression and approached the spatial restriction, the 3 spiritual grade Tao diagrams came out of his body and merged with the golden Tao energy, crazily surging into the Sacred Eclipse Sword. With the Sacred Eclipse Sword in hand, Yi Chunfeng raised his physical strength to the limit. When the Sacred Eclipse Sword merged with the Silver Sword Spirit, the 3-foot divine sword flew out, evolving the boundless power of the Grand Tao as it ruthlessly slashed at the spatial restriction. At this time, Mo Ba, who was at the 6-star Brew Realm, pulled open the Green Phoenix Sacred Bow with all his might. The power of heaven and earth gathered in the Green Phoenix Sacred Bow, condensing into a Green Phoenix Sacred Arrow and shooting towards the spatial restriction that was attacked by the boundless 3-foot sword. Rumble! Being attacked by the boundless 3-foot sword and Green Phoenix Sacred Arrow at the same time, the heaven-like restriction immediately cracked. At this time, the 3 heaven-suppressing monuments hidden in the heavy black fog came down at the same time, wanting to suppress Yi Chunfeng to death. However, Yi Chunfeng's double attack was too powerful. A huge hole was forcefully blasted open in the light curtain-like restriction, allowing him to smoothly enter the vacuum zone. Entering the vacuum zone, Yi Chunfeng's pupils shrank. He saw 108 black chains, as thick as a child's arm and made of special materials, breaking into a giant that was over 10 zhang tall. The giant's body was filled with explosive muscles, and his veins were like dragons. The giant's body was covered with thick snake scales, and there was a huge bloody hole in his chest. God Demon Shining Dragon. Looking at the giant in front of him, the God Eater's information suddenly appeared in his mind. He was the undefeatable expert of the God Demon clan. He was invincible in the heaven region and had the ability to summon wind and rain, the God Demon Shining Dragon. Remember the URL. Sanwu Chinese Network.